I would just ask on these, I have two copies that look to be identical. Was that just a stapling error?
That's what you think,
Okay.
that was when the copy machine at work jammed.
Mr. Chairman, on all items dealing with the planner's salary, are we at risk by keeping these in the minutes?
I don't believe so.
What salaries?
Wasn't the attorney there to address that?
Yeah,
The salary of,
the plan. The salary of all public officials are public, so. Yeah.
is that what you mean, Jen? Because,
Yeah, because he had said he couldn't.
Yeah, he was talking about more performance commentary as opposed to this public record salary. He precluded us and cautioned us not to talk about performance, regardless of what people's opinions might be, which is a whole different matter.
Just a question on these minutes. Do you want to note that the audio wasn't there? It'll be reposted or anything? You don't want to put that in there? Okay.
that was only YouTube.
Yeah, that's right. Okay. It mentions YouTube here. That's why I'm saying.
Is anybody prepared to make a motion on the April 4th? And I have one correction also. It's Tuesday, April 4th. We should strike one of the Aprils.
This was very early this morning.
Thank you for doing it.
Yeah, thanks for such a quick turnaround.
I'll move these minutes to just keep things moving, and then if they need to be amended, we can.
Yep. Is there a second? I'll second that.
Thank you.
Any discussion, any further
The
discussion?
numbers okay, everyone?
I flipped the numbers against Nancy, so.
Okay.
As long as your numbers were okay. They matched what I had written, and they matched your graph, your chart.
She's talking about the back, right?
That
Yep.
matched what I had handwritten and what you had put into
The spreadsheet.
the spreadsheet.
Okay.
Okay. And we're going to go
The only
over-
one that was different was the school one, because you had a different numbering for the school.
Yep.
And if for some reason we find a mistake,
Well,
if we find one, we're all going to vote probably, a lot of us are going to probably vote affirmative, so we can
Yeah.
reconsider it.
Yeah, and we're going to go over the spreadsheet, so
I don't
we'll
think
have
we-
an
This is just an
opportunity.
Excel sheet, and I can change it. I mean, this is just a, like, check and balance.
No, I
It's
understand.
not,
Right.
I know, but if at 9 o'clock tonight we notice, for some reason, I don't think anyone's going to be looking at the minutes at 9 o'clock, but.
Hopefully, with the
We're good.
benefit of technology, we're going to review all the expenses so we can correlate as we
Yeah.
go along and make any adjustment. Any other discussion? All in favor? Opposed? Opposed again, make sure we count it. You were opposed, Jennifer, right? Yes.
I think she said she was for it.
Well, I just checked. It was kind of halfway in between.
She raised her hand.
No, I opposed.
Okay, be consistent. That's good. Alex, you were opposed or? Okay.
Did you want to say why you're opposed? or-
Yes, she's already stated
Okay,
several
okay,
times
okay,
why.
Okay.
Okay. Hopefully, hopefully we're beyond the stage of correspondence or information. I did pass out what Mrs. Driggs had printed both for revenue and expense budget. So everybody should have a copy of that. So we have, if everything is working right, we'll have the hard copy in front of you, and we'll have the screen where those of us back with our back will have to move out to the audience.
Yep.
So does everybody have a non-property and an expense? I hope so, because I've given them all away. Okay,
Yeah.
so,
Right.
How did this stuff get on here? I don't know how this got on here.
okay, now, I want to get this, bear with me for a minute. Okay, now we're down to item
Somehow
3,
Nancy printed this.
and I would like to start
What did you
with
send?
approving the
Oh, he sent that.
revenue projections.
Mr. Chairman, may I have the floor?
Let me finish.
Okay.
The one thing I want to say about the revenue projections are, remember that we already voted on item 4251, which was linked. Item, the 550,000 on 4251 was linked to the part-time person being added at the fire department. So as we go through and look at that, just remember that we've already voted yes on that, which should not be a problem. Now, Mr. Katz.
Okay, I'd like to make a motion. This is just a printed out version for reference. Yeah.
Nancy. There's an extra one here.
Where, Cecil, is that on this sheet?
This is where that's where we're starting from.
You handing them out?
Here, John, pass it.
And you should see,
Oh, here.
yep.
Oh, okay, thank you. Thank you very much. Alex?
All right, I move a new revenue line labeled General Fund Balance Withdrawal to Offset Tax Levy in the amount of $98,000.
Okay. Is there a second?
Second.
This is in keeping with our suggestion to the school department. This would represent a use of the municipal surplus fund balance for one-time expenses, including $78,000 in capital and $20,000 in increased risk for unemployment insurance for a single year.
Okay. We have a motion and a second discussion, and we'll start with Alex and work this way.
Can you explain how this works, please?
Sure. The charter requires the town to keep 3% of the total operating budgets, that's school and municipal, as a reserve. Historically, that's calculated each year from the numbers provided in the audit of the last year, as far as what the balance currently is, offset against the budget that we would be passing this evening. So with that calculation, I find that we are over the necessary 3% by $135,926, if I round. And so I would like to use $98,000 of that toward one-time expenses in this budget. So we would still be well above the 3%.
I'm sorry, say again, you want to use $98,000 toward what?
Toward one-time expenditures, capital, and also the one-time increase in workman's comp insurance, or the unemployment insurance that was predicated on having extra police officers. And it's just risk. It's not necessarily a $20,000 expense. So,
So you're not removing it from?
No.
Okay.
no, this would just offset that in the budget and it technically count as revenue.
Yeah, it would show up in the revenue
Okay.
listing. The, looking at the annual audit, which was as of 30 June of 2016, we had the unassigned fund balance was $1,617,493, and then we've got to have that 3% that Mr. Katz talked
Yeah.
about.
And that
So
would
what
be.
what
I'm
he's
sorry.
reducing is the amount over the 3%.
Correct.
So you're doing 98,000, so you're leaving about 37,000?
Yeah, well, it's closer to 38.
Yeah. 37 and change.
And that leaves wiggle room for any unexpected expenditures throughout this year, or also if they've already made some expenditures.
Yep. Okay. Mr. Edwards, anything?
Yeah, this is where my inadequacy as an accountant will become, it's got to become increasingly obvious. Give me an example of a one-time expense, like a Bobcat?
Well, no, if you look on the docket on page 2, the total for all non-recurring major expenditures is 78,000, and that's where I
Oh, I
drew
see.
that number from.
So that's where you, oh, okay. All right, I get it.
I think it's okay, because I believe in the past, I think we've gone under 3%, I'm not sure. No?
Well, no, some years ago, 10,
Long
15
time
years
ago.
ago.
Okay.
they-
But it's, what does the 3% come from?
The charter.
Okay, thank you. I think it's a good idea. I mean, I'm still looking at it. Thank you.
The, generally, being the conservative financial principle person I am, I'm cautious about that. But on the other hand, given the fact that the last several years, the voters have directly weighed in and said, use the unreserved portions of it, it's hard to argue with the voters. So if I were doing it, I might pick a number a little bit lower than 98, but I think that's a subjective thing. So I have some principled problems, but I think there's plenty of, the voters have spoken. Yep.
Well, the charter talks about 3%, but it's a bare minimum, and I think we need to be higher than that. The suggestion is that we're closer to 5 or even 8%. And the voters, in all honesty, Cecil, the voters vote for the lowest budget. They really don't know where it comes from. They don't really care where it comes from. They don't understand the ramifications. I don't know, I don't support this.
Okay. Mrs. Cook?
I'm not sure what's being suggested here, that the voter is not very smart. What they are smart about is that they're having a hard time making payments for the taxes. And they have said that
Okay.
for several years. So I don't have a problem with this, because it is an excess of money, and they have a right to have it back to help them pay their taxes and to bring down the levy.
Okay. We'll make the presumption that Mr. Katz is in favor of the motion, and we'll bounce out to Ms. Driggs if she has anything to add.
I am in favor of it, and I know this discussion came up a couple of years ago. And I think the key thing to remember is this is in excess of what the charter mandates we have.
Yeah.
And it is taxpayer money. I have no problem
Yep.
using it for taxpayer.
Mr. Karen?
Yeah, I'd like to say that, especially for the new members on the committee, that as long as I've been hanging around these budget committees and FTMs and whatnot, in probably 80 or 90% of those years, we always had a line item in the old FTM dockets on the tax calculation page, which is essentially this number that Justin's proposed. And it would say very, very similar to this, general fund balance withdrawal to offset tax levy. And this is a practice that went on for decades, and Cecil, I'm sure, remembers. So there's nothing really new here. And as far as the 3% goes, I mean, that's the number. And what I argued one time, a few years ago, when this exact issue came up, but the number was $600,000 or $700,000, not 98. I argued at the financial town hearing that the way that the general fund accumulates is either you underspend your budget or you get extra revenue. So essentially, within a 2-year cycle, you've overtaxed the person. You either had a good and favorable situation the year before, and you've got some excess now. That means they got overtaxed last year because we had a good year, if you look at it that way. And then, so what this says is, hey, let's take that, in this case, 98,000, and let's reduce how much we have to levy on the people and give it back to them. So this is a long-standing practice. For years and years, this was $600,000 or $700,000 on the budget committee. This is just 98, of course. So there's nothing new or very foreign here. It's just, I just wanted to share that history with the new people on the committee. Thank you.
So
Okay.
this just gets us dangerously low. Should we
Well-
have any major expenses?
That's a,
And it's a number that's not recommended.
well, no.
By whom?
It is.
The charter requires
Let
3%.
me, please, nothing wrong with the term dangerously low. But the controlling factor is the charter, and the charter says 3%. Over the years, there's been attempts to raise that 3%, which never succeeded.
Does
So
this affect our bond rating when we go out to get a bond?
That's a very nebulous question, and let me try to answer that very quickly. Theoretically, it would, except that recently the bonds that we've been issuing have been through an organization called RIBEC, which is a statewide organization. And so I'll answer your question in two parts. The town does have a bond rating that we work with Moody's and Fitch and so on. But when it comes time to issue the bonds, they have been the bonds that have gone out through RIBEC. So a statewide bond rating
Okay.
applies to that agency.
Cecil, could I ask Justin to also weigh in on this, because I know
Yeah,
he's,
Well, I would like to get to the vote so we
Okay.
can get moving. We have a deadline and,
Mr. Chairman, I have a question, though, that was brought up by one of the members after I spoke.
Yeah.
And someone said that there was some sort of suggestion of 5 to 8%, and it's not in the charter that way, is it?
no.
Okay,
No.
just making sure.
But let me answer the question. That has been suggested.
No, I
It's
heard
not
that,
been
you say that
done.
before. I was asking what the charter said, and
3%.
the charter there must be wisdom in that 3%. They're not going to give you the lowest number safe. They're not going to give you the lowest
Well,
safe number.
we
They won't
won't-
do that.
We won't debate the wisdom of the charter. That could become a very long debate.
It's been that way
Any-
that's been that way for how many years? 3%?
I have no idea.
You don't know,
Long time.
Jeff?
Long
3%'s been, right, so.
Been there since that way, probably
Decades.
since the FDM days before we even had a charter.
And we haven't had any problems, so I just want to mention that, okay?
I would argue that about problems, but moving along.
We really have not had
Yes,
any
we have.
lawsuit.
Okay,
We haven't had
We
any,
have had problems.
only if people took it out?
No,
Took some
no,
out?
there's been problems. but
What year was
that's-
that, Cecil? I need to know, I need to
That
know.
goes back probably about 12 or 15 years when there was a town faced a liability situation because of a traffic accident. But that's all old history. It has nothing to do with the motion.
And there was also a year where we dipped below. We went all the way to 0.5%.
Yeah, I thought.
We had nearly nothing in it around
Yeah.
2008, 2009.
Okay.
So,
Now it's built back up again, so.
Thank you.
Page 2.
any other discussion about the specificity of the motion?
Okay.
Okay, all in favor of adding 98,000 to the income revenue portion, not income? Opposed?
Yes, abstain, I guess.
Any abstentions? One abstention, okay. So now,
621.
and so we would be adding, what have I got up here?
Okay.
We would be adding 98,000 to the 10,940,927.
It's happening as we speak.
Okay.
Doesn't all fit on this line.
Want me to help with that, or?
Sure.
Just double click the right side, it will spread it.
Do what?
So going into
Well,
the
going into
There's
the
that
revenue
revenue number.
side,
Well,
we add 98,000. And
Cecil, since we have a little bit of a lull here,
let
and
me-
I know
let me-
we've already voted,
Yep.
No, you-
but I have a
forward
question
is
about-
forward.
in the past,
Yep.
have we had a real problem where we needed to use a lot of money out of this fund?
Out of the 3%,
Can't.
Over and above what we had?
Okay, thanks.
not a lot. When
Not
it's
about
happened,
decades.
it's been drastic. But if you count the number of years, it's not a lot.
All right. So, because my next question was going to be then, what
Yeah.
was the voter perception of that?
Yeah. Well, since they perpetually vote down increasing the 3%, I would say their perception. But I don't know. You know, the correct answer is, I can't speak for the voters.
Well, that's happening. In order to dip below 3% officially, I think it takes a 4/5 vote, emergency vote of the council for an emergency. So if the money's there, the 3%'s there, it takes a 6 out of 7 vote on the council in a declared emergency for 5, there's 4 or 5 reasons.
So up till now.
We've never done that I know
What
of.
we've had has been sufficient to cover any eventuality that occurred.
Well, that 3%, that cushion can't be spent. Like, you can't just, no one can just go spend that. It needs to be an emergency situation that has
But even then,
a 4/5 vote of the council, and even then, there's certain situations.
And I don't think we've gone, that's even below, 0
We
this
just haven't
century.
been there yet.
Yeah.
I think I'm getting it.
I think he needs help. Yeah.
So-
Okay.
question.
Yeah?
Is this amount withdrawn?
You just add this
So
to
that's
this,
right.
right? But then we have to add.
No, we didn't,
this line on.
we haven't even got to that part yet.
Okay.
All he was saying was,
Yeah,
for
here.
example,
Yes.
his 98,000 would cover that number. But what he's doing is just adding the 98,000 with the new, it's old language from the financial town meeting
This is
Oh, yeah, yeah.
that we'll
L83
use,
plus
and we
L83.
just add that 98.
Which one, though?
Where the heck is it? Now I'm looking at the wrong thing. What is that? Let me get
Just click
to
on this. Oh, you
one I like
it?
better. On this update,
It has to be 80.
what we'll do is just add a line in here and add 98,000 to that total.
No, because we just added this.
We hope.
This 18.
While we're working on that, does anybody have any other comments about the revenue projections?
When appropriate, I'd like to make a motion.
Would you just check that number first, Justin?
Yeah, that matches mine.
Okay. So hit save, please, Nancy.
I did.
Thank you.
Okay, so we're now talking about 11 million 138,927 after the addition of 98,000. Any other comments about the projected revenue?
Does that take out the one we already voted for, or this is the true total?
That's the true total.
That's the true total.
That stays in there. I just wanted to make sure
Right.
that we remembered that we'd
We
already
already
approved
voted
that
for
one, yeah. Which, okay. So I'll ask for a vote that we accept 11,038,927 as the projected revenues. And having read that number, I would again remind everybody that that includes an estimate of state funding, which that's what it is. We really don't know that until the General Assembly votes in June or July.
Nancy, would you be so kind as to scroll to the top of that?
Yep.
Okay, so, has that been moved?
Yes.
It's
I've
been
moved
moved.
it. I have
You moved
I'll
it.
second it.
Okay.
We've got a
I-
motion that's been seconded.
And I'd like to, I just want everyone to look at this. This is the format we just worked on. This is the master. So this is what it looks like for that sheet, for that revenue sheet. Okay? And if you scroll down, Nancy, it goes to that bottom line of 11 million, whatever. That's the one we just worked on.
Yep,
Okay? I just want to make sure that sheet ties to this vote.
yep,
Thank
okay.
you.
So Cecil,
All
you're
in-
talking about operations aid and school housing.
No, the school housing is more dependable. That's general state aid.
Operations.
Yeah. Okay, all in favor of that? Okay, got the count. Opposed? Any abstentions? None. Okay. So now.
I think what we should do is
Okay,
bring up-
so now I would like to
PDF
move on to,
now?
there's one loose end
You want to do
that
budget?
I'm being probably overcautious about, and that is that on the budget, on the expense side, there is a account 3330 SRO school share offset, and that is where the school district is kicking some money in to help pay for the school resource officer. And I may be wrong, but I don't think we ever voted to accept that amount.
I think you might be right.
I think we did, I think that was in,
I thought
Yeah,
that was
we did.
in,
in Justin's.
I thought that was too.
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah, that was it.
that's good. So we can keep moving. Thank you. I just wanted to make sure, like I said, I was being overly cautious. Now, that brings us
Hard to get, okay.
to the point where we need to start going through the expense budget, and that's where, with everything working, we're going to walk through what has
Just turn it off.
been voted on,
Here.
Learn how to do an iPhone.
and
Sorry about that.
everybody should also have, as I fumble with paper, should have a hard copy of what Mrs. Driggs is going to go through. And what I would propose is we just start at the start and scroll through at an appropriate speed, and just make sure, that we've followed through and we've got the right numbers. Also, as you go through, speaking only for myself, when I work with spreadsheets, I sometimes have fat fingers. So if you see any number that looks funny, remember that and ask. I'm sure Mrs. Driggs is more accurate with her fingers than I am with mine. And so now once we get Mrs. Driggs back in the hot seat,
Okay.
I'm going to move around so I can see the screen without,
Just so everybody knows, my process was the March 6th final budget that we got, that we used to take the vote from. I kept a running tab of what we did vote for, and over on the far side, the budget committee, whatever changes we made. And I've checked it and rechecked it, but please feel free. But that's, and then Justin also has been doing a nice job of keeping track of votes. So,
and then Deb with the minutes has had a table. It's actually a spreadsheet. It appears as a table. So that's also a cross-check that we can look at. And then I don't think so, because it's still working papers, and right now I can't even find my right paper. Let me get.
So since I'm fumbling already, maybe one of the first things I think we all want to do, just to be cautious, we're going to look at the school number, 29, on the new stapled package, the 29,893,257. It should match what's on the screen. And we want to bang that up against probably the minutes from last night, or, that's a big one.
Let's start at the start.
Yeah, that is a
Just
start.
go through. No, the school is right at the very end.
no, it's
On this
on the,
document, it was placed.
we've,
It's at the very top.
most dockets have that up top, and then it's also at the bottom.
Comes from the old FTM days.
You're right, it's at the bottom, too, but.
Okay, well, I'm not going to worry about that order. At
Yeah.
this, we can switch the order as appropriate. Right now, I'm looking for my March.
Does anyone have the minutes from last night, or from, is it consistent?
It's right here.
Okay. I think, it's a big number. We don't want to be wrong by a digit on that one.
And
Obviously.
that's what I'm looking for, is last night's. Okay. I'm going to move out in the audience and just start going through.
Now, what I was suggesting.
Why can't I find my minutes? Other than that there's too many pieces of paper.
Don't mess me up.
That better?
Can you see in the audience better? You just enlarged it.
How's that? A little better?
Sit on the other side.
Yeah, thank you.
Sit on that side.
Okay.
Yeah, you are, but I'm not.
No page up key on that computer.
Page up?
I don't know how you do, what do you do?
You can click on the darker part of the bar and it'll go faster.
That's what I'm doing.
Now go down about,
Where would it
there you
be?
go. Just click right,
Above
or
the-
drag that right up, there you go.
Yeah,
drag it
I
up,
couldn't, oh,
There you
okay.
go. So that's the school number.
Oh,
Let's go with
I forgot I could do it here, I didn't
What's
see the
that?
bar there.
Yep, let's go with the debt service, and I would give Mrs. Driggs free leave, that when she starts getting all this free help, she's perfectly at liberty to say, okay, come on up and help.
She's doing fine.
She's doing great.
So maybe you could read the subtotals, Nance, or something, just so we're all kind of on the same page. So principal payments, or I can't talk, so someone could just maybe read the subtotals. And
So going from left to right,
Microphone.
2,480,000 appropriated 2016-17.
Nancy, I don't think we need, I think just the last column is.
The last,
the budget.
2,550,000.
Yeah.
550,000.
Yep.
And that was the debt service principal payments.
Correct. And that's just, that matches,
Now, interest payments.
total 1,824,667. And that's the same as requested by the town council. And then the total payments, principal and interest, are 4,374,667.
Great.
And that's, you all will recall, is because of the capital, we're just paying interest only this year.
Okay, so scroll down and go to the next section.
Municipal capital,
Keep going, keep scrolling.
non-recurring is the 78,000 that Justin spoke about. The recurring, 364,476.
So what's the total, Nance?
442,476.
That's good.
Then we get into the general government, town clerk's office, 276,321. Town council, 87,300. And that was because of the increase to the contingency fund. Board of Canvassers, 27,600. Town hall operating expenses, 26,500. Legal services, 213,000.
Code
The
enforcement.
code enforcement, no, wait, sorry.
Yep.
Yeah, code enforcement is 156,406. Planning board, 20,500. And that's because we added the 15,000 for the administrative officer. Zoning board of review, public stenographer, 4,300. Town sergeant, 1,500. Financial town referendum, 11,000. Town administrator salary, 160, or that, town
Department.
administrator, 160,253, not the salary. The-
The department.
Yes. Planning Department, 47,252. And that
It should be 272?
I'm sorry, 272. And that represents the 15,000 that went over to the administrative officer. Municipal Court, 24,500. Probate Court, 10,800, for a grand total of the general government of 1,067,252. Then the finance and administration, the tax assessor, 155,773. The revaluation, which gets transferred to a restricted account, 40,000. Where are we? Treasurer, 186,736. Tax collector, 121,834. Tax sale, 2,000. Insurance, 2,913,954.
It's on, it was 2,913,955. Is there a reason why there's a dollar difference?
Yeah, I looked a lot at that. It's purely rounding. We moved the whole numbers, and those add up to that, whereas you can't see them, but within the requested numbers, there are pennies and quarters.
So how, did you round up?
I didn't, the formula did.
Well, it's just how it rounds. If you round each individual number, it rounds up to a dollar different than if you round all the numbers together, add the numbers together and then round it.
So I guess the thing is, in these columns on the screen, there's actually
I understand that,
times
but
and
what we
cents, yeah.
approved on last Tuesday was 2,913,955. So we would be mistaken to
We can fix that. Just
not fix that.
Force it to make it 955.
Okay.
Which page are you on, Jennifer? We'll make a note.
Page 8.
Okay.
Insurance, total number 2,913,955.
Yep.
Audit of town accounts, 22,000. Police pension, 700,000. The other bursary pension accounts, 432,907. Total pension plans, 1,132,907. Social Security, 526,368. Unemployment security, 30,000. Unfunded liability, sick and vacation, 80,000. So the grand total for financial is 5,211,572.
I think that should,
So again, there, it looks like
Yeah, that
there's a
should go
typo.
It's
on
what?
the
it's the
old-
same issue.
Well, then it's an issue of $1,000.
No. It's $1, isn't it?
No, what we approved on the 4th was,
No, you're seeing the raise given to the treasurer that increased the
final amount.
Yep.
final, that's the total, but the dollar
Okay,
that we
thank
just
you.
added, so Nancy, that should
Okay.
be 5,211,573.
So do I have to unmask the
No,
numbers to
I would
get
just
that?
I'll
make a
just
note.
type it
We'll
right
do
in.
these
Just add
later
it?
because
Okay, just,
I think these should be hard-coded later, agree, Cecil? So let's note them now.
Okay.
So 5, 5, 2,
The
this
grand-
happens every year. that I was involved with
573.
this too. So nothing new here.
Fire department salaries, 2,234,565. Fire Department operating expenses, 337,127. Fire Department total, 2,571,692. Police Department salaries, 2,807,150. General contractual and mandated expenses, police are 154,200. And there's a note there that the school department offsets cost of resource officers through the last page, and you'll see the adjustment on the last page. Operations, 203,200. Animal control total, 72,375. Police department total, 3,236,925. Harbor and Coastal Management Commission, total 2,700. Harbor Master, 25,110. Street lights, 44,000. Hydrant services, North Tiverton and Stonebridge, 1,500. Grand total to protection of persons and property is 5,881,927. Public Works, salaries, 606,255. Operations is 361,600. Department salaries and operations total, 967,855. Rubbish recycling collection, 525,000. Landfill operations total, 216,194. Building maintenance division, 88,946, with grand total public works, 1,797,995. Associated activities, economic development commission 0. Boards and commissions, total 15,650. Senior citizens, total 115,966. Grand total associated activities, 131,616. Grants and health, civic appropriations, 5,750. Library, 565,000. Grand total grants and health, 570,750. Parks and recreation, beaches, 17,000. Summer recreation, 18,000. Maintenance, supplies, and mowing, 40,140 for, right? For a grand total, parks and recreation, 75,141.
I have
And-
140.
140.
That's what's up there, too. You just misread it.
What?
You said
You said
141, but it's
141.
140.
Oh, sorry,
75,
140, yeah.
That's-
Then the red you see is the offset for the school reimbursing for the
The officer.
officer. So you have total school expenses, 29,893,257. Total municipal expenses, 19,492,322.
And we should add $2 to that
Right,
municipal,
yep,
right?
yes.
Just one.
No, there were two, I think. There were two cases.
It was $1 that, in a category, and then when it added up,
I thought it was a separate area.
I've got 324 from mine.
you have three, okay. All right.
Okay. And then grand total, general fund expenses, 49,385, so it would be 581?
Yes.
Can you read the final number, please?
49,000,
Million.
Million. Wish it was 49,000.
49,385,581.
Excel people, can I ask a question? Why are we not just putting the cents on here? The dot cents? I'm just asking if there's some reason you don't use the cents. I mean, you can do that in Excel, right? So,
Oh, yeah, it's just,
okay.
it's never been done
Just
that I know on the
wondered
dockets.
if there was any cents. There's really not any cents on any of these, right? No extra. Okay, it's all round.
It's just like your
dollars.
IRS forms are all rounded to the dollar. It's just something that this committee's been
But
doing
there's
for
not even
years.
any there. I'm just asking, right? It's just
We
dollar,
don't
round
even get it
dollars.
there.
Some of them are rounded.
Okay.
Wasn't there a Richard
Okay,
Pryor
thank
movie
you.
where there was somebody scammed somebody, a bank, by stealing pennies on every transaction?
Bear with me for a second. There may be a little bit of difficulty with just the school resource officer offset. Let me have a brief conference with my resource here.
Jennifer, where was the first one you noticed it? What account?
Page 8, under
Oh, yeah.
insurance.
Yep, yep.
The bottom.
Yep.
2,913.
So so you're saying then the total there should be
Yeah.
573,
No,
correct?
55, it's 955.
No, but then when you get down to the grand total financial, it should be on the next page, page 9.
Oh,
That's what should be 573.
yes.
Okay, all right, thank you.
So then, that's why
Right.
there was another one?
I think on a prior iteration of Nancy's spreadsheet, that was fixed, and maybe it just didn't carry through, because the fire department, the spreadsheet had the same issue for the fire department salaries. It
So
was
then
$1 off.
Then the grand total is not, it's probably 80?
No, 81 is correct.
So where'd the other penny come
Yeah,
from?
I only, so
No
there,
pennies. No pennies.
so
Not
this,
talking pennies.
this
I already asked that
would
question.
add up to, we'd just be adding one, not two. There,
Right, what I'm saying is, if you look at fire department salaries,
what page, please?
Page 9,
Yep.
starts
That-
on page 9.
that in a previous version of this spreadsheet, I think, that I was helping Nancy review, that was 564 because of the same issue. So I think what might have happened is it changed,
So
it was
then
fixed there.
If it's 564, then it zeroes out.
No, I mean, it was 564, so we had to increase it $1 before, so it was the exact same thing, just in that
I
position.
know, but at
then
the
why
end
when-
of this, we've added $2.
Right,
And this has 565 was added in this document, and we
Right, I'm-
increased it until the end, and we increased it by $2.
right.
That was
Well,
because
my
we had
notes-
two places where we had to add $1.
My notes show one of them on page 8
Yep,
that I think Jennifer initially pointed out. And then, yeah, it's the 5.5 versus the 5.4. And then my next one I wrote down was on page 9, which is grand total financial administration.
Right.
So,
And I wrote 575, I don't know why I wrote 573, I think, instead of
okay,
572.
so
That's
my,
because that's adding in the one, but that's adding up these totals to get
So-
the grand
so
totals.
financial, so is part of insurance the grand total of financial administration? It
Yes.
is? Okay,
So that's why I agree with you. I don't know why there's 2 cents.
so we
There should
Well, that
only
was-
add $1.
Yep, that's
$1.
because,
We only add $1 at the end, not 2.
Yeah, we added it twice, but my records show it's the same dollar.
okay, so
You know,
that it's just $1
It should
$1 more.
be, so
Right.
at the very end, it should be 49,855, 49,385,580.
$80, right. That's right.
And the one above it would change slightly, right? Or no? Or no? Well, one of those two would have to change
And
by $1.
it should be 19,492,323.
3.
I think that makes sense.
Okay.
Nancy, next to where the SRO, school resource officer was, we had 61,000 whatever,
Yeah,
and then 270,000 next to that. What's that?
I don't know. I haven't-
Where'd you see that?
Go to where you had the last page. School, go up one.
oh, that shouldn't even be there,
Oh.
sorry.
Yeah,
I don't know what, it's a,
No.
okay.
I was racking my brain trying to figure what that could be.
gone.
Okay.
Brilliant.
Okay, so we have our grand total. Now, not changing anything with the grand total, let me explain to my committee that we do have a disconnect between the school budget and our budget. Okay, now the school, for the school resource officer offset in their budget was $59,875. But because the officer is entitled to a raise under his contract, the council budget, which we approved, was $61,073. So we have a small discrepancy between the two budgets, which I'm sure the two departments can work out, and if not, the council can tap the contingency fund for that little spread. But our correct number, which is in our total, is the 61,073, because the officer is entitled to his raise.
So it's 61?
Yeah, what's in there is okay.
That's 60.
Yeah, it's okay.
Oh, 61,073,
It's-
correct.
Everything's
correct.
okay. I just wanted to let you know that there
Okay.
is this little bureaucratic
Okay,
wrinkle, which is not that big of a deal, unless you're the officer that doesn't get paid. So don't worry about it. So our grand total, I would entertain a motion to accept that grand total.
as we've talked about fixing it.
Yeah, with,
We gotta state the number.
so it would be,
49.
$49,385,580.
Correct.
And I want to get a vote on that before we move on to calculating the tax levy.
Okay, I'll move that grand total on page 18 to be $49,385,580.
Do I have a second for that?
I'll
Sec-
second.
Okay, Mrs. Cook seconded. I think we've discussed this in grand detail, so I'll just ask for the vote. All in favor? Any opposed? One opposed? Any abstentions?
There's 2 opposed.
2 opposed, okay. So, thank you to Mrs. Driggs.
Oh, it was a pleasure.
I don't think she should go too far.
Yep, and the,
There's more to do.
Oh, yes.
yes, we do have a little more to do. The next step is to calculate, let me check my notes.
To hit save, please.
I did. I did.
Yep, the next step is to calculate the estimated tax levy, which we need to fill in some blanks, which we can now do because we have income and expense.
Is this it?
Yes.
Yep. So we have to change both the grand total and to 580, and then we've got to, I think we've got to add the 98,000 to the,
Unless it's linked.
To the 10.
It
No,
was.
it's not linked.
Do I just get rid of that?
Well, we could just hard code that number.
Yeah, just type it in.
Right,
So
You
I think-
type it in on the side.
just hard code it. We just voted it, hard code it.
yeah.
Just type
You must have
49,
Cells or something, and it just didn't.
385, 580.
Or up above, right?
385. Yeah, I don't know why you're typing over there. but
580?
you've got to
Wait,
slide
no,
up,
no.
You're in the wrong cell.
slide up
Sorry,
a little bit.
sorry.
Oh, I'm
Nancy.
sorry, I'm
Yeah.
sorry, you're right.
You just got to
Hold
select
on,
the cell.
Hold on. I thought I had.
D, yeah, do it there.
Okay.
48, 385, 580.
Do it right in the
Just-
cell?
Yeah, well, you delete that one.
Oh, I see what you're saying, okay.
No, just
Just double click.
Just start
it
typing.
so
What
it-
she's doing.
Just start, all right,
Delete it,
that's
right?
fine. No, it
No, you
wasn't
just moved
good.
everything.
That's fine.
Control Z.
I think you just want to do it up top, right?
I don't
Or
know.
off to the side. Go
Just hit
over to-
Control Z.
No, that's fixed, Justin.
Control Z on this
Because everything
cell?
just moved.
Yeah. It'll just delete it.
It'll just undo what you just did. Oh, did you already do that?
She
I did
did,
it already.
I fixed it.
So if you
You might
double,
want to help her drive, Justin.
Yeah, I don't know how to,
You might want, I can't do it.
why can't I just get rid of this number up there? Delete the formula and just
Can you
type.
You can, but I'm not sure you want to delete
Thank
the
you.
formula.
Grab a chair.
Equals just a reference to proposed budget place ballot.
They're going to make it 80, though. It's
No, it
not
has
the
to be
80.
80, remember,
Has to be
that's the
hard coded.
problem.
Oh, we didn't change that.
The whole point is we have to, no, we haven't changed, made
No,
those.
we haven't changed
We've
it, 'cause we're
annotated
gonna
and voted the
hard
changes, we
code it.
haven't made the
Oh,
changes
okay.
yet.
All right, so we're just going to type them in here.
So just type it in, that's,
What was it?
80 instead of
49.
79.
49.
it's not, it's linked, so he has to write the whole thing.
49.
What are the next 3 digits?
580.
49385
What was that?
Is that it? Yep, okay,
Okay.
thank you.
So is that the revenue number we voted, the 10?
49385 correct.
No, it's,
So we've got to add 98,000
yeah,
to the
it's
revenue.
11,
Right, 11
So
something.
hit enter, Nancy,
yeah, just
right, or no?
go down one.
Click on that cell, now just type
11.
type whatever Justin says.
But where do you, does it just get rid of it when you
Yeah,
type?
it's just going to get rid of it. Just type
Oh,
it in.
okay.
So type in 11. 038
30, oh, yeah, 03.
038?
927.
Okay.
And the 20,000 came from the tax
Um,
assessor's recommendation.
Reduced by
Correct.
Is that the right sum?
346, it should be 65, yeah, that's right. That's 20,000. 3, 8, 3. 3, 6, 7, 1, 8, 7, 5. 4. Yep.
Is that good?
That's what I have. Except I'm picking up $1 somewhere. It's driving me crazy.
Okay, so, is that number being used? My eyes aren't that good, so I just, help me out. I know the 38, the one around there, that cell, is the big subtraction, agreed? And then, that's the subtraction, is that true? My eyes aren't good enough to see that.
Yes, that's, the one we're on now is the
Correct.
subtraction
Okay.
of the revenues.
Okay, and then the allowance for the uncollected taxes, so we want to add that 20 in, does it add?
Yes, it does.
Okay, and then what does that say, the next, so now we have a separate number from the assessor
Correct.
for motor vehicles, and we always have to pull that out, so it's 1,547, so that's this new subtraction, so that number should be less down below, right?
It is.
And it's a little bit less by that amount, okay? And then, I'm just running through this, and then the last thing we gotta do is take that levy and divide it by the town value. Is that number, that 1924, is that the accurate number from the assessor?
Based on his memo to us on March 30th, the real estate and personal property is $1,924,000.
Million,
Excuse me, $1,924,000,000.
even, okay.
Okay.
And so now the division, has someone done the division on their phone? You get that number?
Yep.
No,
Okay.
wait, you said 1 billion?
$1,924,000,000.
$1,924,000,000.
Thank you.
Yep.
Okay, great.
1 million.
And so that gives us the rate. Okay, now, and that gives us the rate. Now, when we do the ballot question, which is a separate show, I don't want to get ahead. When we do the ballot question, we need to add that motor vehicle number back in, remember that, to the levy. But I'm sure there's a form somewhere we already got generated for that. Okay, so what do those last things say? Now, this is where we always, I remember years ago, it's always like the 12th hour when we realize our footnotes are wrong.
Yeah, they were hard-coded, but I put it in code, so it's automatically generated.
So are those footnotes accurate? I can't read them.
Yeah,
Are they accurate?
so if your house is worth $260,000, multiply 260 by 1908, which is the rate, to obtain your estimated real estate taxes, which would equal $4,960.80.
Okay, and the 260, does that have a rhyme or reason, that number?
That's
Because-
normally what the tax assessor gives us as an average.
Okay,
number.
fair enough.
Yeah, I just carried that over.
Okay, and what's the next footnote?
So just on that line, for accounting purposes, the 80 cents should read 80 cents, not .8.
80 cents.
Oh, yeah, there should be another zero.
4,000.
Yeah, it's a calculation,
It's just a
right?
calculation.
Justin, does your calculation take, so we arrive at a 19.08 per thousand. Do you have decimals
In that,
in the formula?
yeah, well,
But,
That's a problem,
well,
because the assessor rounds it, pretty sure.
So here,
the important thing
8 cents
is to
per-
read the last line that says that the final tax rate will really depend on the final valuation. In other words, what the assessor is saying is that $1,924,000,000
Oh, yeah.
is his best estimate. By the time he actually calculates the taxes, he'll have almost certainly a different number.
Yeah,
So the 1908 is just that. It's an estimate.
right, sometimes it's 1903, sometimes it's 1910.
Yep.
Depends on what happens in that office in the next 2 or 3 weeks.
Yep.
Or in the, yeah.
Well, it also doesn't include what really happens with the state aid, right?
No, that doesn't matter.
Doesn't matter?
We've locked that in now.
Yep.
What matters is like, maybe a house comes in for a CO in the next month, or, but in June. Like, there might be a few houses that come online at full value in the month of June. So that 1924 might be 1925, because a $5 million home came, $1 million home came online.
So what you're saying is,
And so the tax assessor makes that adjustment like June 25th, so that can move by a penny or two.
if the state aid,
Well, that comes later on.
yeah, oh, I see, so
Yeah.
you worry about that then?
Yeah, these are all estimates.
Okay.
Yep.
But, right, so next year we find out how good we did when we sit here next year, you know what I mean? Yeah. So what does that last line say?
Right, so I just round,
The eventual
I made that
tax
one.
rate will be determined by the final calculation of
Can you
assessed
just-
valuations of real and personal property.
Which we just talked
Oh,
about.
okay, that's what it says,
Which
what you
was-
read.
You were just talking about that.
Okay.
So,
I'm just putting in a roundup on the rate, because you can't do a fraction of a penny, as Mr. McNally was saying, so that puts it in 1909.
Fair enough.
Yeah, and I'm indifferent about that, other than we've been counting dollars and pennies.
you just added.
Actually, only dollars.
I did.
You did that single-handedly.
It
Until
comes
now.
out just, and I don't know, we need this to reflect. the
Until now,
minutes,
it's
but
just been dollars.
19.08459, so the 9 brings up the 5 to a 6, the.
Oh, good, what?
Joke.
I'll just.
It's why some of these is just using the spreadsheets to multiply, we come up with a dollar.
That's why that dollar happens every year, yeah.
Remember that Brendan added to my property.
Either here or there.
For every thousand, and those new hardwood floors,
That's right.
your
That my
valuation's
wife
gone up.
is Making me put in. Okay. Okay. So we've got a technical correction here. Now, the next thing, while we're taking care of technical matters, I want to move on to resolutions. And some time ago, I handed out,
Oh, that was me, right?
my starting point was the resolutions in last year's being the May 21, 2016 package. If I can get to the right place. Okay.
I think this is the sheet maybe that, I got lucky and found it, maybe that you handed out.
Yep.
Looks like this, if anyone's interested.
What's the heading on it?
It says Tiverton Finance, it's got 3 holes, well, that's me, the rest of the holes. Tiverton Financial Town Referendum, May 21,
I think I
2016.
got it.
Okay.
Yep.
Budget Committee ballot submissions,
Not the dog.
the lower half of that page. So it's got, it looks like it has 7 resolutions.
And we have an extra one, Nancy had asked us to look at.
The clerk, right? Yeah, okay.
If it'll help, this is, these are the resolutions we had last year.
Yep.
And I have added in 4, we can talk about it, I just wanted to get the language in there of what Nancy Mello had wanted for future elections covering financial town referendum runoffs.
Okay.
Okay, so the question becomes, do we want to include the same resolutions that we had last year? And let me walk through those. The first one was resolved that the,
Denise had a question.
I talked to Tony about resolutions today. He said as long as a resolution does not have a sunset clause, then the resolution goes year after year after year, and you don't have to repeat it every year. The only thing that would reject it is if somebody put something on there that counters this resolution. So if you want this resolution to be put back on there, that's fine, but the paving resolution does not have to be put back on. And then you go in the jeopardy if they say no to that, then the resolution fails. When you don't have to put it on at all, and then the resolution just carries year to year as long as there's not a sunset clause. And Jeff, I asked 3 times, he did the research. That's what he told me today, because I was concerned about some of these. But he said, if the only jeopardy you have right now, if you put that on there and it's voted down, then we don't get it. Right now, it will stay there unless somebody says we don't want that to happen anymore and put the resolution there.
Well,
We can have a discussion about the merits of that, but
what I want to do is have a discussion within the committee, and we can deal with the legal issues. I'm
Thank you,
not
Denise.
so sure that I agree with the most recent solicitor's comment. So I want to get a sense of what we feel, and then we can sort out, because I seem to remember different solicitors had different ideas. So, we can all, first thing I want to get a sense of what the committee feels about the resolutions. Then we can address the issue of how are we going to handle the legal opinion. And I'm a little bit cautious to react to a legal opinion that isn't in writing.
I agree.
okay. So I think that, if I may I have the floor, Mr.
Let's-
Chairman? Oh, wait a minute.
I started with number 1.
Okay.
Resolved that the expense and revenue budget, both itemized by account, that support the proposed for appropriations and tax levies, which received a majority of votes cast by the electors at the financial town referendum, shall be adopted as the Tiverton General Fund budget for the fiscal year ending June 30th. In this case, it'll
I
be
put
2018.
2018 in there.
Yep.
So,
So that pretty well is boilerplate.
yeah, it is. Does everyone understand what that is? I'm happy to explain the origin of it if you need it, but.
Sure, give me a brief.
So I'll try. So under the charter, the top section, the town shall appropriate a sum levy a tax. I mean, that's the bailiwick. What this resolution does is it says, when you say appropriate a sum of 19,848,089, if that's the number, when you say that for municipal operations, this resolution ties this 19 pages of budget to that number, okay? So otherwise, it's just a number that everyone's voted. So if this resolution passes, then it says that, hey, when that passed, then this resolution says the different line items are per the docket, okay? So that's what that one really says.
Thank you. Just
And so, and that's sort of the history of it.
quick question. This might be not a good question. I'm just asking, why do we have to say it for every year? Why can't we just say it?
That's another discussion I think
Okay.
the chairman wants to have after we
Okay.
discuss
Okay.
these.
It's unfortunate. I asked that the solicitor be here tonight, and he indicated he was here, but obviously he's not. And this is just the type of situation that I wanted him for.
So I'm very comfortable with that first resolution, and I am of the belief, I don't want to know, I can hold off on a motion, or if you want to have that,
Well,
once I make a motion, we're going down one of those paths. Do you want to have a philosophical discussion
Let's-
about, do we want to include motions, these are not? Answer Ruth's question, really.
I have a question for the chairman. Can you ask the solicitor by email to, like?
No,
soon?
we don't have time.
You don't have time, okay,
No.
okay,
No.
I see. I see.
Yep.
I think a discussion of, do we want to include resolutions, I think is in order myself, but.
Oh, okay, well, I made the assumption that we would want to.
Yeah.
But.
Yes.
but
Want to
I'll
do
ask.
what?
Yeah,
What do you-
include the resolutions. So I think I'll just say it. This resolution has an end date, so it has a sunset date. But if you look at the next one, number 2, There's no sunset date on it. It passed last year. So if we didn't mention it this year, what we're hearing from a legal opinion from our counselor, from the solicitor, is that it's still in place from last year, so we don't need to redo it. Now, I have an opinion of that, and I'll share that, but that's really the issue is, do we want to, like, not include them anymore and just sort of have them be there from previous years? Personally, I'll speak my opinion on that, is I think absolutely we need to keep track of these things, because especially when somebody picks this docket up, you know, in June 5th when they get their tax bill and they're mad, and they start looking at what did we vote, what's going on, and they you know, and they look at this and they don't even know, like, how would anyone ever even know that those accounts are restricted, you know? So, example, if we didn't have that resolution there, it would be in play. Someone could come in with an elected petition, not understand that, as an example, right? And they might try to grab that money or something, or, I'm just making examples, and I'm not thinking very clear tonight. But I think it's very important to keep these on here and keep track of them. I guess that's where I'm coming from. That's my opinion. I tried to explain it, and then I just gave you my opinion, because there's a lot of history with these.
So you're saying as is?
Well, I think we need to go through them and enter them, but the idea being that, yeah, we're going to have 5 or 6 or 7 of these, or, you know, tonight, yeah. As opposed to just saying, like, we're just going to, like, number 2, well, it's there from last year, we don't need to do it this year, and it just evaporates.
I think it's
I
important.
think that's scary.
Yeah.
So what you want to do is put one of them in and actually tie them to this budget committee into this budget.
Yeah, exactly, so they'll be part of, and they'll be voted, I mean, they'll be on the ballot.
Oh,
like,
I agree
yeah,
with you.
Yeah.
I think we should do that.
I think we should, because otherwise, how do you know what all the resolutions are in play? You have to come and bother the clerk, and, you know, and even that, there might be some in play we don't know about.
They should all be transparent.
Yeah, so I think we keep them in, that's my 2 cents. but-
Is there somewhere you would think, a tally of all the resolutions that are, because
That's
I know
right.
I've come across at least one that
I'm
isn't
sure
well
there- I'm
known.
sure there is, but
It's a lot of work,
Mr.
Bob.
Karen's point that you would have to come and research it a little bit.
Right,
know
well,
that
what I was thinking was if there is an easily accessible list extant, then we could put that in a docket or something and just say,
Yeah.
these are currently extant resolutions from prior
This
years.
is the list.
Yeah, and I.
No, but
I-
there are
There
some
may
that
be
are on
others
that
that we
list.
don't know about.
Yeah, and I don't know about,
They might be, we don't know, that's the problem, we don't
Justin
know.
could find them.
you know, I don't know about easily accessible. I'm sure there's a record of it, as there is virtually everything, but the key word is easily.
Yeah, how do you find it?
So-
How do you find it? But I want to make sure. that
Anyone else?
everybody
Yeah.
knows Before anything goes forward, we have to agree as a group that we want it to go forward. So Mr. Karen has his opinion, et cetera, but everybody's got to, you know, a majority's got to prevail. And I feel very strongly about number 2, even though it doesn't have a sunset, based on things that have happened in the past with capital. I feel strongly that all municipal capital accounts be restricted for their intended purpose and that no transfers are authorized out of those accounts.
Mr. Chairman, question on that one. Supposing in a specific municipal account, if there's money left over, would it,
Goes back to the general fund.
it goes back to the general
Sweeps,
fund?
Yeah, sweeps back in.
Can we add to that we would reserve it for capital expenses? For future
I think
We
we're
actually-
getting-
money forward?
If we go down a little bit more in the list, I think you will see where last year that was anticipated.
Okay, thank you.
Number 7 has,
Yeah.
Thank you.
I'm not sure how meaningful it is.
So, is any, on a consensus, does anyone have, are we at a consensus where we want to, like, we want to go through this list methodically and vote these? Are we at a consensus?
Yeah.
Okay, so I'll move the first one, we'll try this.
Let me go
Okay.
through the whole thing. Let's
Okay.
go back. No, okay, I'll go. Do we want to vote one by one, or do we want to do it?
Oh, yeah.
One by one would be best.
Yeah.
Okay.
One thing I'm wondering is if it would be helpful to put in maybe a parenthetical note on ones that are presumably just carrying over, just might help people in the future to under.
As we did last year, or as was,
Well, like
We did do it.
or,
already in.
These are last year's.
Like
These are
parentheses,
last
already
year's, yeah.
in effect as
could do
of
it.
whatever.
Or you could write the word new. We're good at writing the word new in parentheses if there's a new one.
Yeah.
You could say.
But they change. We
Shall-
always change a few words, so even that's hard to say it's a repeat because we change a few words or a date or it's tricky.
It's a real curveball,
Yeah.
not having the solicitor here to give us a definitive answer. Because if what has been related to us is correct, then I have no reason to believe it's not correct, other than, did any of you, when you were young, play the telephone game where you would whisper in the ear? So by the time we get the word, my overworked phrase, in an abundance of caution, I wish we had the attorney here directly. Because we run the risk, as was described, that if we put it on and it's voted down, well, we didn't want that, that's for sure. But let's start at the start. We discussed number one, and I think Mr. Karen was ready to make a motion till I interrupted him.
I'll move number one as written.
Okay.
Second.
well, with the exception to, as amended to read June 30, 2018.
18.
Okay,
Yep.
thank
Yep.
you.
Somebody seconded it?
I did.
Okay. Any further discussion? All in favor? That's unanimous. Now, the second one is resolved that all municipal capital accounts be restricted for their intended purpose and no transfers are authorized out of those accounts. Now, that's where Mr. Katz's suggestion of maybe we want to add a parenthetical approved in 2016.
But we don't know, do we?
I'd be careful with that.
Well, all of the resolutions that were on the ballot last year were approved,
Previously approved?
previously approved,
Yeah.
something like that.
Why are we doing that, though? I don't understand why we're,
Because I'm just throwing that.
no,
out
I understand. I want to know from
because-
Justin, why are we doing
Justin,
that?
why?
I was just, because you might assume that if it doesn't pass, then it stops being in effect by the next year. And that would also lead you to assume that there aren't any other ones that are in effect that aren't on this list. So I just threw it out as a way to start cleaning up the listing of these.
By
By somehow noting somewhere that these are currently in effect.
There might be some problems with transparency. There might be other ones
Yeah.
we don't even know about.
Yeah.
You could do something like resolved, comma, as currently in effect, comma, that all municipal capital accounts.
Yeah, well, excuse me for a minute, I'm going to go check and see if we might not be able to reach the solicitor by phone.
Because we
Keep
would still
on
have that
talking.
problem.
Yeah, we should look up his phone number.
That someone, on the ballot, it lists each one of the resolutions separately, right? You have to-
Yeah.
You have to read each one.
You vote, approve, reject.
And that was another thing I'm thinking of, if voters have to go and vote on every one that exists every time, it starts to get confusing when you're doing something new.
Yeah. But then this is also a list that's not completely inclusive, right?
Right, this is not
Who knows?
comprehensive.
Comprehensive, thank you.
Well, it could get real interesting if one of these resolutions was in conflict with one that we didn't even know about.
There you go. And it may be, yeah, I
Who
mean,
knows?
Uh-oh.
So all you can do is hopefully deal with the current ones and hope somebody doesn't pull one out of the closet.
well, I think Denise said the solicitor's opinion was that, it stays in effect until a conflicting one toggles it.
Right.
That's what she said,
Yeah,
so.
she said-
Current one could.
Yeah, so we could wipe one out, yeah. If one passed, that it would take precedent and toggle, it would turn off
She
the
did
other
say
one.
that.
If you were a voter and you didn't want something, So in other words, like if we look at number 2, and we're saying, we resolve that if we put this money in capital accounts, we need them to be used for that purpose. That's what we all agree on. And it ends up, and people have on the ballot, a yes or no. And this is something that's been in effect for prior referenda, right? If we say, hey, that's already in effect, we don't need to list it here, then it's incumbent upon the citizens to kind of figure out what resolutions are in effect. Is there any way for them to vote against this item?
Not if it's not.
To vote against one of these if it's not on here?
Correct.
Yeah, they could do an elected petition. I mean, that would be.
They would have to put their own resolutions.
Yeah, and then knock one out, yeah.
Yeah, it'd be great if we could have in a docket just a page that says resolutions currently in effect. And then,
It's not going to happen tonight, though.
yeah, no, I'm just,
Next year.
And these are
Next
supposed,
year.
That's
Next
the
year.
wonky Dustin at work.
these are supposed to be made by the budget
We'll
committee,
probably
not a
have
single
one.
person in the town, not a resident, not a voter. These are by the budget committee, these here. So, and I think town council has some too? Town council has resolutions?
They can.
Okay, so those are the bodies that make resolutions.
I think the school committee can too, I think. I can't
Individual?
remember.
Oh, okay.
but- Yeah. It's a pretty, there's access to the ballot. That's the idea
So
in the
you don't
FTR.
have to
There's
put in a
access to the
petition
ballot.
to actually just make one resolution.
Right.
No, you have to have a petition. If you, as a citizen, want to
No,
put up.
I'm
There's two
I'm
types
asking
of
a different
petitions.
question. Jeff said that an individual could put a resolution
Yeah, Donna did
on the
last year.
ballot. I'm asking.
Donna did last year.
Right, Donna did. Okay, so you don't have to put a petition. I'm just trying to
Well,
clarify
no,
that.
right, there are two types of things that can be put on the ballot. There's a budget proposal, which is really the information at the top of this page, okay? It's 5 items. And that's a budget proposal, and that's the petition that you hear in the news and everything. There's also a resolution that can be put on by elector petition, and it's words. And the rule is, there's a specific rule in the charter, and I know because I drafted it, but it says that the key is that a resolution cannot affect the budget proposal numbers. We wrestled with that ad nauseum, because you could have somebody come in and say, I want to take $100,000 from this account and spend it and buy something. Well, now you've really got to do a budget proposal for that. A resolution, the type we're talking about here, cannot have an effect on the budget proposal numbers. See what I mean? So you say, if you read number 2, it's general. Like, we've had some that says, okay, if you look at number 3, resolve that if the electors at the financial town referendum appropriate a sum, then this will happen with that sum. It'll be in a restricted account. This number 3 doesn't say we're going to take 30 grand and put it in the restricted account. That has to be done on the budgets, on a real budget proposal, whether it's the councils, the budget committees, or an elector. It's the resolutions can lock money up, can unlock money, but they can't direct money more. You see what I'm saying? They can't change a budget proposal. And that was a very tricky thing that we worked through. It took about 2 weeks to think out how to word that in the FDR language, so that there was no conflict between a petition and anyway, that's the history. I'm fine with number 2. I'm just going to state my preferences. Fine with number 2. We were about to vote it, weren't we? Aren't we about to move it?
Maybe we could just ask if anyone has any issues with any of them.
Well, I know, but they take time to read.
Yeah, no, we're reading now.
I haven't really looked at these in some time.
We just have some time.
So number 3, that's really innocuous and important.
Jeff, give us a time to read it, please. Thanks.
I've got an issue with number 4.
So that, Number 4 is the one that Nancy Mello
Well, she just added the new language that she added.
So,
And
did she hand it out tonight, or?
No, that came, we got
Couple
those
weeks
pieces
ago.
On the
together.
30th, yeah.
And financial town referendum runoff if necessary is what she added.
So it's, the words are included up here. Number 4 is as Nancy wrote it.
Okay.
Well, I added her words,
Her
but we
words.
haven't necessarily.
Right.
Well, we approve it when we do this.
So I'm just saying for Jeff's purpose, so you can compare.
Jeff, here.
I think my only issue with this one is, I'll just comment on it, it's to be used, said amount shall be placed in the restricted elections reserve account. I think it should say A, not the. That's my problem with it. It's trivial maybe, but
Well, there is the.
is there?
There is now an elections, restricted elections account.
There is one set up?
Yeah.
So
The
that's
only-
why you'd use the word
sorry.
the? Okay,
The
that
only
was my
language
issue.
she added in financial town referendum runoff.
Just, she only added for the runoff, that's all.
But there is that account.
Yeah.
Which is why it's important
They just established that
to
account.
to
Yeah.
keep it so that we don't have to keep.
Okay, I didn't know, I thought it was a two account.
So doesn't 6 and 7 really say the same thing? Except 7 just defines it a little better.
So,
No, actually, so 6 talks about anything that comes from, anything that's left in the Public Works Department goes into the restricted paving account.
No, it says with the, any unencumbered funds, it doesn't say from where, will be returned to the general fund with the exception of any unencumbered funds from Public Works.
Which will go into paving.
And then the one under that says, unexpended municipal expenses
Only 25% will go
will
into
be
pay.
divvied up between
Was there a
Thanks.
number for that?
For what?
And then what happens
this,
to the other
So-
50%?
Well,
stays
so
in the general
New
fund.
restricted capital account?
it's saying
I
that
talked to Denise, she said it'll be set up at
anything
the end
left
of
over
this
goes
year.
into the general fund.
Except for
Except for
Public
what
Works.
Public Works goes into the restricted paving.
Yeah, that's number 6.
Right,
And
so
7
then
mentions
number
municipal.
7 is anything that is left over, 25% will go to the restricted paving account. So
From
there's like
unex-
2 different sources.
Right.
And
Funding
seven
that.
mentions the unexpended municipal
I
expense.
can't hear you both.
Yeah, I'm just saying, it's a difference. It
Okay,
mentions
yeah,
municipal
Ruth,
and
I was
7.
talking.
Yeah, go ahead.
25% would go into the new restricted, we put a new restricted capital fund
Right.
last year. So 25% would go there, the rest just goes into the general fund.
Did you get them?
Yes. And to finish Deb's comment, our intent was followed, but the dollars that actually were swept were quite small. But at least the intent to start building up a little bit of a capital spending fund was implemented.
What item are you talking about?
8.
That's
7.
7,
So-
what Deb
Okay.
was talking about.
What happened in the phone call? Do we care?
Yes, we do care, because the attorney clarified that what he was talking about with Madam Counselor was town council resolutions, and anything to do with budget resolutions, we should repeat,
Okay, great.
because they were basically linked to the budget. So
Great.
we're on the right path, and I have an answer for you later. Okay. So wherever you're at,
So,
continue.
We've just been kicking around all of them.
did we vote on number 1?
yes,
we did.
Did we vote on number 2?
No.
I'd like to move on number 2 I don't think it was moved yet, was it?
Nope.
So I'd like to move number 2 as it reads.
And I would second that one. Any further discussion? All in favor? Okay, thank you. That was unanimous.
Likewise, number 3's been there for quite a while. I move number 3 as it reads.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion?
Is that the way Nancy wants it?
This is number 3, about the reval.
Hers is 4.
Okay.
Okay. All in favor?
Okay.
Number 4.
Someone who can read, I'll let do number 4, because I can't read that.
Resolved that if the electors at this financial town referendum appropriate a sum for municipal operations and capital expenses that includes an amount to fund the elections account, said amount shall be placed in the restricted elections reserve account to be used solely for the purpose of funding future elections and financial town referendum runoff if necessary.
Now, was Nancy's, that's what Nancy gave us, right?
Well, number
We
4
voted.
did exist. The only thing she added was, and financial town referendum runoff if necessary.
Which is what Jay just read.
Yep, yep.
So do you want to move that, Jay, or?
Yeah, I make a motion that we accept resolution number 4.
Second.
Okay.
As per Nancy's
As
amendment.
just read.
For what's up there.
That's what he just read.
Okay.
Could I,
Yep.
just
Okay,
for
we have
Frieder,
a motion and a second. Any discussion?
yeah, could we make runoffs plural?
I would defer to any grammarians in the company.
I would agree with that because there could be
More than one?
more than one.
Just one of those
That's,
things.
that's, okay, that's true.
Fine.
That's true.
So make it runoffs.
Runoffs in the plural.
Could be more than possible.
Yep.
Could happen.
Well, it could happen over
Any-
multiple years, if you don't use everything in the account, then.
Yep. Any further discussion? Okay, all in favor of that, with the added S? All in favor?
It's added.
Okay. Number 5. Have you discussed that one?
No, I don't think there's been a whole lot of discussion about number 5.
Okay. Number 5, resolve that account number 5540-6794, paving/road repair, shall be a restricted account to be used solely for the purpose of paving and road repair. And the purpose of that one was to preclude funds being taken out of that account for other purposes.
I'm,
Well,
Okay.
can I make a comment on this?
Well, wait till we get
I'll second
a
it.
motion.
I second it.
And with second, yes, you may make a comment. We're open
Think-
for discussion.
I'm pretty sure, well, there's, part of their budget accounts for fixing things like culverts and,
Yep, that's drainage.
okay. And they took money out of that account this year to help with the dump,
Yes, they
with the
did.
landfill.
Mhm.
Consequently, when we were talking to the new public works guy, he's kind of hurting for cash to do some of the things that he knows he has to do. Is there any way to make that account part of this line item?
Or we could do a separate one in a minute
We'd
if
have
you
to
want.
do a separate one.
Because what I really don't want to see happen is them not be able to do those repairs that are necessary and have Donna's car end up in a ditch.
Well, we would have to have a separate one because it's a separate account. The other thing that we could consider is that we did bump up the contingency fund a little bit. Now, we have no control where that would go, but
Well, it went to the landfill too.
yeah, could be. So, but to answer your question specifically, to address drainage, we would have to have a separate one with the appropriate account number.
Which we can do, I would support that, Jay, if we, as soon as we're done with this one, if we want to create one, that's our job.
Yep.
Yeah?
Okay, any other comments on paving and repair resolution? Okay, hearing none, all in favor? Unanimous. Now, do you, Mr. Edwards, if you want to add one having to do with drainage, we could just insert it as number 6, and we need to look up the right fund
I'm looking at
numbers.
it,
I think, yeah, we want to do it right now, so they're side by side, that would be best.
Wait, I have a question on that. Why do you need those two side by side? Everyone's now used to these numbers that are already here. So
they-
why can't
they
you make it
won't-
8? I'm just asking that question.
Because they're parallel topics.
They just went in
That's
last
not
year.
necessary.
They
No.
just
They don't
went
have
in
to be.
last year.
What?
The last,
Last year, they changed the
the
numbers?
last
Okay.
3 we put in last
I'm just saying for the voter, it would be easier if the numbers stayed there. That's all
I
I'm
don't think
suggesting.
they'll remember.
No, they
Yeah, absolutely
change.
it would.
They
It would.
change every year.
It's your decision. You just said that. I don't agree. But
Yeah.
I think, for a voter who's looking through these resolutions, it's very important.
But they change every year. They're
No,
not
many, you just said that many of them stay the same, Cecil.
No, but these 3 are new.
They added new ones last year.
I
The account-
understand, but
the
the ones that
drainage
stay
account
every year have the
is,
same number, and it's good for the voter. I'm just saying, I'm thinking of the voter in
Okay.
that comment. Pretty clear.
What's-
The drainage account is 5540-6795.
We just talked about people searching for resolutions.
6795.
You sure?
That's paving.
Correct. We're adding a new resolution.
We want drainage.
We want drainage, right?
Yeah.
And we have to refer to it as,
Correct me.
then obviously, instead of paving, it's drainage.
Page
And-
14 is the drainage account.
While you're looking at that, I have an idea that really every resolution should have a unique number. It should not have moving numbers every year, so that people can refer back to what the history is. That
Ultimately,
would
that's
probably
the
have to be
Board of
done.
Canvassers' decision.
Okay,
Fine.
so we would talk to the Board of Canvassers, you said, Cecil, on
I
that?
think that's how they put the ballot together.
Right, it would be more clear. We were just talking in the group as how it's hard for someone to look back at prior resolutions. This would hold it solid and steady through history if you numbered each one with a unique identifier. That's just my suggestion.
Okay, thank you.
So what's the number then, for the drainage account
You're
is,
doing 6. Oh, the account number.
and the 5540 prefix is the same?
5540-6795.
It's right here.
Okay, and it's called drainage account.
Drainage account.
So I think you would want to read, resolved, that account 5540-6795, drainage account, those two capitalized, shall be a restricted account to be used solely for the purpose of drainage repair?
Yes.
Would you add the word repair at the end?
Yep.
Just use drainage, for drainage.
Well,
Well-
there's drainage clean it out, and there's drainage.
Yeah, you have repair here for paving, you're right, okay.
Well, I'll let Jay decide, it's his
Yeah, it's-
baby.
Repair is fine with me.
Repair, okay.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So,
Mr. Chairman, when Joe Souza was on the council, when he was on the budget committee, the big thing with this here is he wanted to get more roads done with blacktop.
Okay.
And he fought like hell to put that in there, so any extra money went into just doing more roads, so we could try to catch up. We're not gonna catch up in town anyway, even if you spend $2 million. But right now, according to the superintendent, this year, with the money he's got for paving, he's gonna do North Brain Road going to the high school, and he has to do Quintel Drive going to the middle school. And that's all that's gonna get blacktopped in town.
Well,
I think Denise said there was $245,000 in that account.
That's probably it.
Right?
so,
Yes.
So don't go far.
No, it doesn't go far.
So where are
That's
we
correct.
at?
But I think
We're
that,
working on drainage.
So this is going to be number 6.
okay, so
Yep.
I'll make a motion then.
Well, Mr. Edwards.
Is he going to make it?
motion.
Okay, go ahead.
All right. Well, I'll make a motion that we resolve that account number 5540-6795, the drainage account, be a restricted account to be used solely for the purpose of drainage repair.
And do we have a second?
I'll second it.
We
Second.
have a second. So we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion?
I would just change a word or two to make it identical to this one.
I have that all, it's
Shall be, yeah.
all identical.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Any further discussion?
That's the whole.
All in favor? Opposed?
Okay.
All right, so resolve that account 5540-6795 drainage account.
Shall be a restricted account.
Yeah, delete repair.
You just cut and paste them.
Yep,
Shall be a restricted account
yep.
to be used solely for the purpose of
Drainage repair.
drainage repair.
See, there's a problem there, because now you're not going to have paving. It's gonna go to the- Can I ask a question?
Sure.
Right, I see what Alex means.
Why? It's a separate account.
Okay.
It only matters if you raid the account, right?
Donna?
Is this
Did you-
separate?
I'm sorry, I apologize. Nancy,
Yeah.
did you just changed number 4 at the very end of number 4? Your
Okay, hold on, let me just add this word and then,
the third line in number 4, as you were editing, you edited
Line
it.
26, right, you did. Line 26.
Yeah, thank you. End of line 26.
So it's,
because I got rid of A somehow. What happened to A?
scroll left.
All you did was you.
Nancy, scroll
Over
bar
at the
left.
bottom of the whole document. Scroll
Oh, I
over.
see, sorry.
Yeah.
So you might do undo a couple times.
What?
No, you just
Yeah.
type drainage right here, that's all.
Oh, I see.
Oh,
Is that it?
yep,
Yeah.
thank you.
All right. Okay.
So Donna, I apologize. I keep calling Nancy Donna.
Oh,
Tonight.
it's okay, I've been called worse. All right. Now, I just want to be clear on this because I just want to make sure that we're going from and deleting 6794, which is paving.
No, we're not
No, we're not
deleting
deleting
that.
it.
No, we're adding
one.
drainage.
We're adding, so there's
Drainage.
two separate,
Two restricted accounts.
I get,
Right.
okay, all right.
Yep.
Just wanted to make sure. Thank you.
Created another one.
Okay.
So
No,
then,
It's number 6, number 7, number 7.
yep.
I guess we'll make this next one an interesting one as to how we want to deal with money.
What is now number 7, resolve that any unencumbered funds as of June 30th, 2018 will be returned to the general fund with the exception of Public Works Department operational unencumbered funds that will be placed in the restricted paving road repair account 5540-679.
So it seems to me what the concern was is that we weren't putting enough into roads.
Correct.
Yeah.
And so we said there's a restricted account and it can only be used for that if we approve it.
Yep.
And now we're saying we're worried that drainage money could be taken and be used for other purposes, and we want to keep the money in there.
Yep.
So now we're saying within the Public Works Department, if they end up having from their other operational things, if they have a surplus, any surplus within Department of Public Works is going to go in the way this reads, would only be into
Into
the
paving.
and the
So
road.
we
And
have
that's probably still
and/or drainage?
Right, and it seems to me that one of the things that you want to do is at least give the Department of Public Works the discretion about what he thinks needs to be done. So in other words, don't take the money and spend it on trash or some other area, use it for public works items, but if he comes and says, I would rather fix drainage than the paving, this gives some
But
flexibility.
you've already eliminated the flexibility by having two different, you either need to have a resolution that says and/or.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah,
Right.
this is just
What you can
unencumbered
do-
funds left over.
All,
that they're
all you
talking
have
about,
to
so
do
that
is
you can put
add
it into
and/or
drainage
at the
or
very end.
paving.
And/or drainage account,
Yep.
and with the drainage
I think
account.
it's
So
fine.
drainage
I mean,
account is
let him
encumbered.
decide, I guess.
So as I read number 6,
Number 7
Now,
now?
now 7.
no, I'm looking at 6, we haven't approved 6, have we?
No.
Well, or it would be 7 now, correct?
Yeah, so-
As I read it, the unencumbered funds, that noun applies to the entire budget, other than schools.
No.
Well, that's how it reads.
That's the way it reads to me.
Yeah, definitely.
So that says that any unencumbered funds that come out of this budget, with the exception of their own funds, the DPW funds, should go into paving. That's how that reads, and that maybe that's,
Which one?
it sounds like that would be
Gonna
what
eight
Joe
now?
Souza might have been really fighting for.
Well-
Number 7.
Well, it says 6 on the page, so.
Can someone define any unencumbered funds from the whole budget, how that would come about?
So what an unencumbered fund is that, there's a budget, and it says we have $1,000 to buy pencils,
Don't-
and we only bought $500 worth of pencils. So 500, the other 500 is unencumbered.
Okay.
The end of the year came, and it was, it's just sitting there. So this resolution, which is now numbered 7, would grab that half of that pencil money, whatever's left in the pencil money that hasn't
Municipal
been,
budget?
No.
and it would move it to the restricted paving.
No, no.
Right, I agree that you could interpret it as that. I don't think that was the intent.
Well, let's fix it then, because that's how I read it.
Well-
I
It
just,
says that
Brendan, what do you think of
any
Cantab?
unencumbered funds will be returned to the general fund, with the exception of anything from the DPW. Their unencumbered funds will be placed in the restricted paving.
oh, I'm sorry.
account.
I read that wrong.
Fair enough.
Yep,
I'm sick.
We need the and/or at the end
Yep.
to include the drainage account.
yep.
Okay, so the way that
So
reads,
that will
that's
be
why
placed
they
in the
were able to
restricted
take-
paving road repair account 5540679
And/or.
and/or, right?
Yep.
Actually, you can just say or, because they can pick which one. You don't have to need the and. It's.
No, because
And/or.
You don't need,
And/or.
you do not need the and.
Okay.
He, the DP, you do not, because the DPW head is going to decide
Well,
which
because
one.
then
but it
means
sounds
you
like
can
he has
use
to
it-
make a choice of
If
only
you don't have
one.
and/or.
All right,
then-
that's fine.
then
You're-
you have
you're
to-
right. I got that.
Keeps one, not two.
They can
Okay.
divide it up, okay.
Yep.
So the way this
And/or.
reads was the reason they were able to take money out of all these other funds and throw it at the landfill.
No. We protected, we tried to protect paving.
No, that's not what I mean. They didn't raid DPW.
That's right.
They raided everybody else in
Yeah.
town. And that,
Yep. Yep,
the verbiage in that is what allowed that to happen.
okay.
I don't know if that's exactly rated.
So number, what is
No,
now?
the only restricted account is paving road repair. So until the very end of the year, until June 30th, the town council can take money out of DPW and move it elsewhere.
Yep.
So if they didn't want it to go into paving on June 29th, they say, okay, we're scooping everything up today.
So the fact that they haven't spent all their money in their budget as individuals makes that unencumbered.
This says unencumbered as of June 30th, so the last day of the year.
Right.
That's when it gets put into the restricted
that
paving. So
changes.
if the town council wants to scoop it out June 29th, it can do that.
I got it.
Yep.
So 8's basically,
But
doesn't
it's
have
an
a lot of,
attempt. It's an attempt.
yeah.
Number 8.
Well, are we going to approve that? And how does it read now?
No, excuse me, we didn't vote.
7,
I don't even know how it reads, it just got,
But before we
resolve
read
that
it, could-
any under unencumbered funds as of June 30, 2018 will be returned to the general fund, comma, with the exception of Public Works Department operations unencumbered funds that will be placed in the restricted paving road repair account 5540-6794 and/or the restricted drainage account 5540-6795.
the one thing I'm wondering is, does that need language specifying who gets to make the decision? I mean, it may be a small point, but
Now, you think the Director of Public Works?
you would think, but it could, I mean, be the council, it could be, I mean, does that matter?
Well,
It's just a-
the
It's in his
council,
department, and you can't take it away, so
Right, it's his
obviously he
department.
controls it.
yeah, no. The,
Yeah,
I think we're okay.
no one can take it.
The council can always reallocate
In 6
funds.
years, when there's this major blow-up,
Yes,
I'll
well-
say,
well,
I said
they-
this was gonna happen.
Yeah,
I'll
I'll raise my hand and take responsibility.
but but the thing that overrides everything is that the council always has the ability to move funds around. So sometimes when we're wrestling with all these specific accounts and we want to get that exact number right, I'm thinking to myself, when I'm a little bit frustrated, why are we doing this? Because on July 1st, the town council can say,
But not the restricted accounts.
yeah, that's right.
So if we're assuming that the Department of Public Works gets to make the decision, if he does it on June 30th, the town council can't do anything the next
Yeah.
day.
But the council can always take a vote directing the town administrator to tell the town DPW guy. So, the chain of command
No, I'm
is alive and well, whether we, agree or disagree.
and I was gonna suggest, if you appended it to say, at the discretion of the DPW superintendent, but then for the voter, anytime you see that on a ballot, you get nervous, you don't trust
Yeah.
anyone, so I wouldn't do that.
No, I think where we're at is fine.
Already there.
We can't cover every contingency. So, any further discussion on that, as read by Ms. Driggs? Okay, all in favor? Opposed?
Now we're going to another page on number 8.
Okay.
So is number 8, as you've got it in the computer, read identical to as we've got it here? Nancy? Your number 8,
Yes. I
is it the
wrote
exact
that.
same thing as what was handed out? Is the exact same thing as last year?
Yes,
But it's
Okay.
the number 7, the old number 7.
right.
Whatever, yeah, but.
Now becomes number 8.
Resolved that the town, once all provisions of the charter and accounting requirements are met, comma, shall transfer out of the unexpended mutual expense appropriation determined as of June 30, 2018, 25% to the restricted paving road repair account number 55406794, and 25% to a new restricted capital 0980 expenditure account.
What's that account for?
Do you think appropriation should have a capital A?
I don't know.
Okay, so I remember when this got created, was it last year?
Yes.
Yep.
And I didn't understand it from the sidelines, and I still don't understand it now.
Well, the attempt was to start creating some capital reserve account. And we, as I recall, we wrestled with that language for quite some time, trying to figure out how to say what we wanted to do.
And also paving was really low, so we
Yeah.
were also looking for more paving money.
Yeah,
Because I
So-
remember it started a couple of years ago, we had that massive winter, we spent everything on salt and sand, and there were so many potholes, and we had no money left, we had taken everything out of
Right,
paving.
right.
So it was to look at that, as well as to get a capital fund started.
So how does this work? So first of all, what's the definitions? The unexpended municipal expense appropriation. So does that mean I take the docket and I look at
Right.
our year-to-dates, and I say, and I compare it to the budget, and I find that I have $50,000 that wasn't spent, is that what that is?
Yep.
Okay. And I'm just trying to go through the mechanics of this out loud, if it's okay.
That was my question. Good.
And then 25% of that number to a restricted paving road repair account, and 25% to a new restricted capital expenditure account. So we take, then, once that happens, the unexpended amount, the underspend on the municipal budget, a quarter of that goes to this, the paving road repair account, and a quarter of it goes to this other new account, 980, and the other half just sweeps back to the general fund.
Correct.
Is that how it works?
Correct.
And what are
Okay.
the odds that there'll be any?
Well,
Yeah, and to follow through on your example, stick with the $50,000.
okay,
So you'd have that 50,000, so you would take 25% of that.
12.5.
12.5, and that would go to paving, and then 12.5 would go to the general capital number of 0980, and then the remaining 25 would go back to the general fund. No, I'm using 50 as my base number.
Sorry.
Yeah. I should have used the 100, it would have been.
So did it work? Or that's the question. We developed it last year. I guess first question is, there were no hiccups. Did it work? The treasurer did it, I assume.
As best I know, the problem was, by the time everything was said and done, there wasn't much money to be divided.
Okay, well, there's not much we can do about that,
Yeah,
but,
but as far as the mechanics of it,
We haven't hit this yet.
We haven't hit it yet. It's for June 30,
brandy new.
2017.
We haven't hit it.
right, that's what I'm saying.
that's
It's
right,
working,
that's
I
right.
guess. Yeah.
Excuse me, that's right.
So we're going to find out in 3 months.
Yep,
Okay.
yep.
And they can spend it on June 29th, the
Right.
town council.
Right.
That's the end of that, right?
Yep.
Right, Matt's ready if you wanted to ask him a question. I'll let you.
You'll be gone by then. For good or evil. Okay. Any motions for that one?
One question would be, is that if money is left over at the end of a year in a reserve account, does that count towards the rainy day fund? So in other words, we have in the charter that we want to maintain a certain,
3%.
right? Would these count towards that? Reserve accounts would not.
No, because, yeah, reserve accounts are restricted.
Okay.
You guys are all giving me colds.
No, you're just allergic to
So
peanut
one
butter.
question I have, I guess, this is a sort of like the question we had a minute ago about the authority. So we have now $12,500 in our example in account number 0980. Now that account just sits there with 12.5 in it. Maybe after 2 years we have 25 in it. Now let's think through the authority mechanism to appropriate and spend that. What would it be? Would it?
Now, as we envisioned it last time we did this, the council would budget some capital, whatever,
And we go through the process.
and it would just go through the process.
And then there'd be a revenue line in the revenue that we're gonna take $25,000 from, and we're gonna, you know, it's sort of like, at that point, you're sort of treating it like a general fund
Yeah.
offset, right?
Yes,
So that was the idea?
that was the general idea. Now, I want to be sure not to masquerade as an expert of Gadsby, but I
Yeah.
think that's how it would work.
So the expenditures would go through the normal budget process in the following year,
Yep.
and then there'd be a way, somehow, you tap the money in that account
Yeah.
and
So-
apply it to that
So,
expense.
instead of going, say for instance, it was a multi-year purchase, so in year one, maybe instead of a 5-year financing program, we could go to this account and make a down payment, and then spread it over the 5 years.
The whole idea is somebody would have to
Yeah.
petition. to
That's
use
got to be
these funds.
budgeted to use it, and then it's just a source.
Do we have the same problem with the and or? Because it just says we could have to put and/or 679.
No, and is correct there.
Well, we need to decide, right now, it's splitting this between the paving account and the new capital account.
Evenly, correct.
Correct, and we just decided that drainage was something that we want to protect.
Okay,
and
see,
put some money
this is
towards.
just going to go into paving then, this
Yeah.
particular 25%?
No, I think we need to add language. If our whole purpose here was is to say, let's build up an account and do it, do you want to include drainage in this resolution?
so-
Can I ask a question? How much is the paving now and how much is the drainage? What's the ratio? Because I just want to see what that
I
is.
think they gave drainage like
We-
$5,000.
Yeah, drainage was in the new budget.
And paving is, do you know what paving is?
I think,
250,000, right, okay. So
I th-
Jay says, go
sorry,
ahead.
go ahead. I interrupted you. Go
No,
ahead.
Go ahead, if you have the numbers.
No, I don't.
Okay, no, go ahead, I'm all set. I just wanted to know.
So Brendan, I believe
Proper
that,
drainage, new pavement is,
Jay said that paving has 250,000 and
not
drainage
sure
has
what the number
5,000,
is.
approximately. So
But-
it's just wanted to know that.
so Brendan, I think that as designed, I mean, it's, as this was architected last year, the idea was to put 25% of that amount into paving, 25% into a general purpose account. That was thought through last year. Now, you just mentioned something about drainage.
Yeah.
I'm not sure that I would necessarily muck with this thing if I was going to vote for it. I might just leave it like that and let that money go, like what they decided last year, but,
Yeah.
and not have this one go into drainage too. That's just,
That would be, my inclination would be to let this one run until we actually exercised it and saw what happened.
That's a good idea.
the other thing, the council or whoever is, they can always grab money from 980 and use it for drainage, because 980 is just a general
Well,
purpose
that's-
account.
That's a general capital.
Oh, you couldn't use it for drainage, just capital, I'm sorry.
No.
well, didn't
Stand
the
corrected.
council tell us they had a bucket of money in the restricted paving account right now?
Yeah.
Because
Or
that's why
really.
we didn't give them any this year.
Correct.
Yep.
All right.
Okay,
I'm fine.
okay. Any further discussion?
Is anyone going to move this one? We read it, we didn't really move it, I think, or not.
I make a motion.
And I'll
or-
second it.
Do I need to read the whole thing? Okay.
Go ahead, please, Ruth.
Make a motion that resolution number 8, resolve that the town, once all provisions of the charter and accounting requirements are met, shall transfer out of the unexpended municipal expense appropriation determined as of June 30th, 2018, it would be now, 25% to the restricted paving road repair account number 5540-6794, and 25% to new restricted capital 0980 expenditure account.
The only thing I would ask is, I think we should leave it June 30th, 2017.
Oh, yeah.
No, this is for next year's
No.
budget.
I,
We have it
yes.
for
You guys
17.
moved it
You're right,
last year,
right,
yeah,
right,
yes.
right.
We've
We
been
have
doing
to.
that, yeah.
So we want to
It
change that to
has be
18?
to
Yeah, we need to
18.
change them all
It
to
has to
18
be,
for
right,
next
you're
year.
correct.
Already changed.
And I think we want to modify
No.
the words "a new" in the last line. It's not a new account anymore, it was new last year, so.
No, it hasn't been created yet.
Well, it will have been.
It will be, I talked to Denise today to say.
But we
it
don't
hasn't
need-
been
we don't
created,
need-
and it hasn't
Okay,
been
wait, I can
created.
solve this. Okay, to the new restricted capital.
No, but it's not new.
No,
For this purpose, it's not a new
The,
account.
meaning it's a new account that.
It's not a new
Oh, I see
account.
what you're saying, for
Okay,
next
so then,
year.
right, okay.
It's not a new
so-
account, so if we stricken in the word "a new,"
Right, you're
you
right.
just say "to restricted capital
To
account,"
the
blah, blah, blah,
restricted?
blah.
Or without the
To
the.
the-
Whatever. I just think "new" needs to get out.
Yeah, that's good. Good, thanks, Jeff. That's included in my motion.
Second that.
I have already seconded.
Oh, okay.
Any further
So what are
discussion?
we putting, 2A, restricted?
Jeff said, just say to
The?
restricted.
I
Two
do
capital.
restricted.
How about to the restricted?
Restricted capital
need it, but-
0980.
You don't need the "the," but you can put it
Yeah.
if you want.
I do.
Yep. Okay, any further discussion? All in favor? Opposed? None. Okay. We've taken care of Madam Clerk's suggestion. Any other thoughts on resolutions?
Not on resolutions, no.
No, okay. So, we've handled that.
Mr. Chairman, can I jump in for a second on something we've already, I found, it was driving me crazy, a missing dollar. The problem is the rounding on Nancy's spreadsheet lost $1. So that's where that came from. So if we moved all the totals to the dollar, if you add up what we actually moved, Nancy's should be $1 more. I don't know if that matters or.
No, wait, I need to know,
Wait, what
I
are
can
you
talk
talking
offline
about?
on this, but why did Nancy's not round up?
Because in one place, there were 73 cents that rounded up to $1. In another place, it was 50 cents that rounded up to $1.
I asked if there
So-
were any cents, and you told me
So when you
no.
put them together,
No, you told me there
at
were
the
no
end,
cents.
it rounds down.
Cecil said there were no cents. Cecil said it was all dollars.
I didn't see
No,
something.
Cecil, you were wrong.
But, so I'll just lose
Okay.
a little sleep tonight
Thank
and knowing,
Nancy, scroll up,
Look at
I didn't
these
think there was
numbers.
like
Scroll up on the resolutions.
Yes. Said dollars.
Scroll up
I knew it was cents then. I mean, it was using cents. That's what, of course.
to the top.
Don't worry about it.
Yeah.
I've been in
So-
financial industry.
How about maybe?
I think should we vote on and approve the ballot question? I think we should do that, no?
Yep.
Do we I haven't really been on the budget committee for a few years, so I don't know if that's what's been happening, but there's a ballot question, obviously, we need to submit, which is the top of this resolution page.
Yep.
So would it make sense to vote, do we have the numbers? Does one of these computers have them all in there and ready to go? Should we read it and vote on it, or should we,
Yep.
just a thought? It's kind of an important thing, the ballot question.
You're the chairman. Why don't you read it, Cecil? You're
Are
the
these
chair.
numbers on this sheet the right numbers now?
These are from last year, this sheet.
No, those were last year's.
These are like these last year.
your spreadsheet should be correct.
Yeah.
So that's what I want to verify. Actually, voting on this will force us to verify it, so
Okay.
it's kind of important. So Nancy, could you read those numbers off of that? I don't have the eyesight to do it.
I understand, thanks.
Okay.
I'll read it
Nancy?
to you, Jeff.
Okay.
Well, so far, these numbers are right. Anyway,
Appropriate a sum of $29,893,257 for the school department. Appropriate a sum of $19,492,322 for municipal. Levy a property tax not to exceed $38,366,653, which is an increase to the prior year's certified net tax levy of 0.4%, and includes a motor vehicle tax levy not to exceed $1,647,900, and a tangible property tax level not to exceed $36,718,753.
Okay, so, thank you, Jay. Focusing on this, the school number I verified, the number the next number, the municipal number,
9.6.
might be off by $1 with the whole debate.
Well, even, we moved, didn't we? Nancy, click on expense detail. Down at the bottom. I think we moved 2-3.
we did move to 3.
So-
Okay, so that needs to, this is what I want to go through.
Right.
Yeah, change it off to the right in column J.
Column what?
J.
J.
Oh, J. 2,
That one, yeah.
Just what do you want to
Just
do?
type in 19,492,323.
Yeah, they match.
Repeat it,
The
Justin.
dollar thing that we did. We're adding the
19,492,323.
dollar.
Okay. Is everyone happy with that? That's the dollar thing? Okay. Levy a property tax not to exceed 38,366,653. Now, is that, someone go back on that other, if you could, on that other sheet there, is that the right levy, max levy? Is that what comes out of that calculation? Actually, Nancy may need to click back to tax calc. 38,366 something. 38, 366.
653,
Okay, and so that was with the motor vehicle, right?
38, 388.
No, no. Okay, but Nancy, could you go back to that other tab for a minute?
Right.
So now it says less imposed motor vehicle, blah, 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 and we
Oh, that's
calculate the
right.
rate. So we want that to include, and it does, the 38,653. Okay, I think that's okay.
Wait, so it's the
I think we're fine.
38,366, 653?
And that's what you have.
The total
Correct.
max levy,
Okay,
yep.
okay.
So click
Yep.
back now,
Okay.
the other tab. I just want to get drilled down the last two things,
Mine's different, I didn't.
which includes what is that? I can't read
Which
that.
is an
Which is an
increase to the
increase to the prior
year's.
year's certified net tax levy of 0.4%.
Okay, and
Includes a motor vehicle tax levy not to exceed $1,647,900.
a real and tangible. Now, are those two numbers, the 1.6 and the tangible, are those consistent with the other sheet / the assessor, all that? So I want to check
The
that.
estimated tax levy sheet is what you're referring to, right? Yep.
Yeah, I want to know if those last two numbers, which is the motor vehicle amount on the ballot question, is the same as the ballot question, as what was used to do the calculation is, and especially the same as what the assessor gave us. And what we just voted, I think, probably too. And the same thing there. I just want to run this to ground. So 1,647,900.
That's ties back to what the assessor gave us.
Okay, this looks old then, because he's got here 1,650.
No, that's old.
Yeah,
This is old, so, okay.
but keep going.
I'm sorry.
That's the motor vehicle, right?
Oh, I'm sorry, I'm not reading it.
Yep, you gotta.
So, 2,100 less, so 1,647,900, thank you.
Yep.
Okay, and what was the tangible, real tangible, what, the last line there is 36,
$36,718,753.
Okay, but
I'm looking for that number somewhere, I don't see it.
now that's gotta come off of the tax levy calculation.
Oh, that is the number, right? Wait. So, those two numbers added up should give us the top one, is that what happens?
Yeah, and that's number 5 on the tax calculation sheet we were looking at before.
Okay, so the last two numbers add to the max levy. Is that it, Justin?
36,718,753.
All right, we all good then?
Yeah, the only thing does anybody have, the only thing left to check, and I checked it already, but would be the prior year levy, just to make sure. I don't have a way to
I
check that quickly.
don't know what it was.
I did check that when I helped with the spreadsheet.
I don't know.
So I guess we Mr. Chairman, do you want to
Yes,
take a
we
vote
have-
on that,
we
on
definitely
that
have to
puppy?
vote on that.
If there's ever one thing we voted on, it would be that, right?
Yep. And
Is the 0.4% right? Are we sure about that? I think we
I
are.
don't know.
hopefully
That
the
should be a
com-
period after that last number, right?
Well, it's actually the exact language of the charter, so I wouldn't go editing it, really. I mean,
Okay.
You're missing a line. Here it says, as recommended by the Budget Committee under there, period.
And
So
that line has to be put in
you
there.
have to type that in, Nance,
Oh, where do you see that?
It's in,
on last year's.
Oh, okay.
You're looking for the
oh, it should
period.
say as recommended by the
By the
Budget
Budget
Committee?
Committee.
That all
Yes.
says as recommended by the budget.
Yeah, so that should be probably at the level.
That's your period you're looking for.
yep.
No, I'll go lower. Might even sort of line. I would go out, indent it out, because that's pretty important. Put it under the level of the town shall.
Actually, here it's with levy, but town shall's fine.
I think it would be better to read as voted upon by the Budget Committee.
No,
No, because per the charter, we make a recommendation.
we recommend.
So that's in fact, I have another area to talk about with that, but
Yep.
no, it's definitely a key word.
Oh, I see. Okay, thank you.
Yep.
Okay, why don't you hit save, Nancy?
This document that we received just says resolutions, so I need to say budget committee resolutions?
It does say budget committee.
I know, but this from Cecil just says resolutions.
Well, at the very top,
The one last year said budget committee resolutions.
Okay, all right, I didn't get that one.
So Justin, what did you want to know from last year?
The total levy.
Last year, the levy property tax was not to exceed 39,164,668.
Yeah, but that's, the actual certification is different than that, just to confuse things.
That levy was 3.5%.
This was the budget committee's budget, that wasn't the,
that wasn't what was
Well, I'm
passed.
reading the May 21st,
What's that?
2016 budget committee ballot submission.
No, just-
Right, which did not pass.
And even worse, when the assessor does his magic, the actual levy differs by about 15, 20 grand, 10, 50. It actually, it's a not to exceed. So when the actual magic gets done in that office, it's always 5, 10 grand less, some number, because he has to round off to the nearest penny.
Maybe we'll get some more open space and farm tax.
Yeah, so as a result of that, what Justin's trying to look for, I think, is the actual levy certification, which is a document that usually Dave gives one of us each year.
Actually, Jennifer's right. Last year, we put budget committee ballot submissions at the top, underneath the first line. It's on your, yeah, see on your paper that you're looking from last year, it says budget committee ballot submissions at the
yeah,
top.
right at the
Very top.
at
Do
the
you want
very
that,
top.
Cecil? Do
Yeah.
you want that again?
Yep.
Okay.
So what does it say?
I'll show you, because I saw it.
Just type it in and get right under Tiverton Financial Town Referendum.
I may need help
thing
with
here,
it.
I don't know what you have.
You found the
No,
levy?
this is 2 years ago.
No, but he wants it, he says.
Well, but this is the same thing. This, I've
This
got
was,
2016.
this is 2017, and it didn't have it on
I
it.
have 2016, it does have
She
it.
has 2016.
We haven't voted in 2017
Yes, we're
yet.
on 2018 right now.
yeah, but we have, this is,
But
this
the-
is, this is what we voted.
This
in
is the vote.
2016 for the 2017 budget.
Yeah.
But now we're,
Now we're in 2017 doing the 2018 budget.
We're changing this
But
for
this-
18.
But the Tiverton
but this was the,
Financial, the Tiverton Financial Referendum on May 20th, 2017, Budget Committee ballot submission, because we're going to have a ballot on May 20th of 2017. Okay?
I have no problem putting it in.
So I guess
Good eye, Jennifer.
this page, then, what do we want to change on this page? We've got the
Nothing.
resolutions.
Although I
It
had
says
to
budget
push
committee
the- I had to
resolution.
push it.
How do I get
Proposal
rid of
for
that?
appropriations and tax levies. Do we want it to say that? Yes, I think we do. We had it last year. And at the top, it says Tiverton Financial Referendum with a date.
Which will be May 20th, 2017.
So I think we just want to
Budget
insert,
Committee
Justin.
ballot submission.
insert a line.
I'll do it.
Just insert a line, as Jennifer, I think, said earlier, right there, right up between
I know.
there, right in
I
that
know.
row,
I'm
insert
just-
a line.
But
Let
we're
me
gonna
insert
have,
it
we
first.
should
Doesn't
come
here,
down.
stop, please.
No,
What?
we'll just get it in there. We can worry about formatting it later.
What does it say? Financial, it just says that.
Now you can type, I
It's just-
think.
I think
So
that
what are we
was the
putting?
resolutions.
Budget committee ballot submissions.
into.
It's right here.
I know, I see.
What I don't know is,
Oh, right.
this is what was handed out. I don't know what was on the actual ballot.
Right, it might be different, right?
And
New form
Board of
of literacy,
Canvassers,
it's
which I
hard
don't
to-
want to get Ruth started again. The Board of Canvassers is really decides on the exact ballot.
Yeah.
So the new big pump
So you just do
is
this,
sitting
right?
on the
So we
floor.
can censor that and stuff.
Let me
The
send
old
it.
pump.
Just do that?
So,
And when I pulled the
I got
new
it, Jeff.
good pump up.
Do you want me to do it the same way as the other one?
So-
See, so what I'm
That's
doing
good,
is that
right
this
there.
is,
We
this
have
is.
belt
Center
and
it down.
suspenders.
I understand, just relax.
I never need the really big pump.
Done.
So it was working as it
Oh,
was
you
supposed
done.
to.
Okay,
But
done.
I had, somehow it must have moved and hit the float on the
It's
other.
Actually, you
modified
need a
by
little
you.
larger font.
For this
Font
one?
it up, yeah.
This is in your basement?
If you look here, Nancy, it's a
I
little
know.
larger.
So nothing,
Just
it
need
got
to
a
be
little wet.
I don't think I care.
So glad I don't have that at some point.
Okay, so I think we have this, we haven't voted yet, have we? But we've been through the numbers.
Well,
Jennifer caught a couple of things.
we voted on everything except that very top.
The ballot question, right?
Yeah.
And do we know what the final certified levy was for 2017?
So we're looking for the certified levy?
Right, so in other words, we calculated this is coming up with a 0.4%, right?
Yeah, it's got to be off last year's number.
Yeah.
I have it somewhere on the computer, but
Do we use the ballot number or the certified?
we use certified usually.
Don't we supposed to do something like this too?
Does it have to be in this?
Yeah, that's part of the construct of the charter, yeah.
Is that on the state website, Justin?
So while he's looking for that, or no, I don't know, I won't move unless you want me to move, but, Mr. Chairman, I was going to mention a couple other things, but,
Well, I want to get it tied down.
Yeah, I hear
It's
you.
going to be
Okay.
a ballot question. And then basically, other than talking about the forthcoming schedule, we're done.
well, there's a couple of other little things I wanted to mention too, that are part of this, little typo things.
Okay, well,
I
if
made
they're
notes of.
typos, we need to clean them up.
Yeah, okay, so I'll mention them now while he
Yep.
digs for the levy.
Yep.
So, in the police budget,
Page, please.
I'm gonna look for it. In page 11, there's a bunch of footnotes. And it's a 1. I never see, sorry, I never see a footnote anywhere.
Right, I asked that question. Someone,
Yeah, we just already,
she was supposed to go research it. Denise was supposed to research that little sub-post
well,
superscript.
do we want to yank the footnotes out? We don't know why I don't know what they represent, these footnotes. Holiday pay, I don't know what this all represents, health and wellness. Do we just want to take the footnotes out? Because if we don't know what the footnote is, then we probably shouldn't be including the footnotes, but that would
Is
be,
it maintenance mechanic 1, police secretary 1, police secretary?
No.
No,
it's
no, no.
Little bitty,
They're,
little bitty
um,
ones.
holiday pay,
They're
superscript 1.
What page is that?
Education incentive,
Okay,
superscript 1. I don't know what the footnote is. It's certainly not in the document.
Yeah, there's.
I don't know what it was supposed to be.
Denise, do you know what the the footnotes are? Okay, so I asked that question.
So I think we might want to remove, that being said, at some point when Nancy's got it up, we might want to go in and just delete, like just obliterate them out of the document. So if we don't know what they are,
I would agree.
I mean, let's just get rid of the puppies.
On holiday pay, education incentive, and sick leave buyback.
States on it.
Do we have a consensus on that?
Wait a minute, there's health and wellness and clothing.
Yeah, do we have a consensus to get rid of all those footnotes?
Yeah.
Okay. So it's some-
Denise, do you know what those are for?
No, she already said no, she doesn't know.
So Nancy, when you're ready, we can go back and do it. So that's one thing I'm bringing up while he digs for something. That's one thing. And
Hold on.
the other thing I was going to mention, and this is only formatting, well, it's more than formatting. If you look at each column, the budget committee column, our column, the last column, this can all be done in one swoop by selecting all these sheets, but it's obviously not centered, but in addition, we could say budget committee recommendation. I don't know. I think historically, I think when I was chairman, I used to put
Where are you?
recommendation there.
On
But
the-
it doesn't really,
The top of the first page?
I think we.
right, all the pages, yeah, pretty much all the pages.
Instead of
Pass
budget
the
committee,
recommendation.
but.
Yeah, I don't know what happened here. These things disappeared. So I think we need to center budget over committee. But in addition, do we want to put the word there? If we do it, we have to do it we have to do it carefully so it shows up in all the pages.
Do we
But
want to say
The
recommended?
budget committee recommendation, because being
Well,
that,
I'm trying to remember the charter. does it say proposed or recommended? I think it recommends.
Recommend.
Yeah. So yes, that would be a.
So that's the other, those are my two little things, the footnotes, and centering budget over committee, and adding the word recommendation.
Yep.
Well, now, footnotes appear a lot of places, too.
Well, no,
Not all
No,
footnotes.
just those little substitutes.
well, the ones in police are the ones that I see.
Well,
Yeah.
there are 3, and then when you get
Yeah,
down
there's
to
5 of 'em.
general contractual
Right,
mandate.
so can you
okay,
delete those?
okay.
Those are what we're talking about.
Yeah.
Just kind of like double click on them carefully and zip them out, nip them out.
Double click on.
Well, just click on them and you can delete them, yeah. All right, so go up top, you can probably do it up top easiest, just delete the one, and it'll go away. Hit enter, hit enter. There you go, do it again now, up top, go up top.
Oh, it went there automatically.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay, now scroll up
Yep.
and do it
Yep,
to those
yep,
other
yep,
3.
yep, yep, yep.
Well, along those lines, Jeff, not to muddy the water, but where it says requested 2018,
Yes.
right next to budget, should we indicate that that's the town council's request?
That's what gets tricky in the construction because,
That's the way they read when I checked them all.
yep, and that is, what gets tricky on that a little bit is just on the first page, the school committee, should say school committee request. It gets a little tricky, you have to break, it gets messy.
Because it's not department heads,
No, but it's, right.
except for school department.
It gets tricky, well, the problem is then we have to figure out at this
Yeah.
late hour how to deal with that.
I think the reason
Two
it
different
just says
titles.
requested is because you have requested from the town council, the treasurer, the town
Right,
clerk.
right.
And the school committee.
So that's right, there's more than the school, there's actually a bunch of them.
Yeah.
So I think that's why we
And
just
that's why it's just.
cut it off.
simply requested.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay, how did those go, Nance? Those 5-foot notes, we
Gone.
good?
They're gone.
Okay, so I'm going to ask Justin, or you can do it, I don't know how to do it, but maybe Justin can do it, or somebody, but just select, we want to go up to that budget committee heading, but I think if there's multiple, I don't know how this sheet's constructed with multiple tabs, or, if that's changed right there, will it change
Yes,
everywhere?
I believe it does.
All right, so what we want to do is, go to the word committee, go to the
Yeah.
word committee. Oh, it's not one cell, okay, that's fine. So I think we're going to need to
There's one.
grab those two,
K.
what's that?
It's just K. What's not one cell?
I think we need to grab the word budget, go up one, grab that, now move up a little bit and drag that up one.
Well,
Nope, not going to work.
okay,
No, it won't work.
let's do this.
It's
Want
at
to do a
the-
vote,
it's at
to
the
clean up,
top.
or
That,
You know what, they're gonna reformat this.
who's they?
Once Nancy gets that and the Board of Canvases looks, they're spending like all this time on
Yeah.
all this.
Well, I think the word recommendation is important, though. but-
okay, we can say we want recommendation. We don't have to sit here
We don't have
while
to.
we try to figure out how to do it on the computer.
Okay, so-
We can make a hand note, and we can either vote or consensus that we want to
Okay,
say.
that's fine.
And then we can do that.
All right, so we're going to add the word recommendation.
Yeah.
That's one thing we got to do.
Yep.
I want to make sure that that whole dollar thing, it did get entered, it didn't.
What,
Which? No, because we're,
So it's not hard-coded in the dollar thing? or is
No.
it? I don't remember.
we have
My
to
head's spinning at
bring
this
the-
point.
we have to bring the numbers up to do
All
that,
right,
right?
so,
well,
But it's on my sheet. I mean, I'll do it. Just have to figure out how to do it.
well, are we going to do it during the meeting, or are you going to be authorized to do that, and then?
she's going to be authorized to do it.
Okay, that's fine.
Yep. As long as if we're within a buck, even all the way down to the bottom.
You can go buy a coffee.
One out of 50 million,
Okay,
okay.
so
So we still have to vote on
the actual budget, yeah, ballot
the
proposal.
ballot proposal, which now we really don't need that number that Justin is looking for. Are we satisfied that what we've got is correct? which I think it is.
Well, if we use last year's number that was in the docket, the one that passed, so we can go online.
Yeah, but it doesn't have anything to, what does that have to do with what?
Well, what are we trying to verify, the .4?
Yeah, that would
Yeah.
verify
The .4.
Yeah, which, well, the .4, hopefully calculated off the spreadsheet.
And Brendan asked the question, do we have last year's certified levy?
Yeah, but that's a nice question, but I don't know, and I don't know
Okay.
that it has anything to do with the ballot question.
Okay.
We'll eventually get that. So,
Well, how will that be, who verifies that? So,
oh, crap.
It says 2016.
I mean, to change a tenth of a point on the increase on a multi-million-dollar levy, it would have to change, be wrong, the background math, the prior year levy would have to be wrong by quite a bit.
Yep.
I did find, the only thing, the latest assessor's statement I have, certified levy, says tax roll year 2016, but he sent me that in February of this year, so I think that means it's the latest, and it's off the number I have up there by just a little. It's 38,190,533.
When was it signed? There's a signature with a date.
It says printed May 24,
No, not printed, when was it
2016.
signed? There's an actual handwritten signature on those.
This one doesn't have it. He didn't send me the signed one.
See, the fact to Brendan's question is, I don't know for sure where that 3.5% came from. I don't know whether that was inserted when more data was available, or whether that was the original vote of the Budget Committee. I don't remember.
I think it was the vote.
Could be, I just don't remember. And if it was the vote, where did the 3.5% come from? So,
I'm gonna check my email.
That's what it was last year.
do you have anything
I have nothing with me from last
in,
year.
yeah, I don't either.
I have stuff at home.
Yeah.
Well,
With the certified, no.
Because that's really going back to the prior fiscal year. So what, we're right back to the same question. What is the levy after the election of last May? We don't know. Can we put a parenthetical in there, something like per check details?
we have the, I can go online and I can pull up the winning docket, right?
Yep.
Okay. So let's go over here. I can go on to the Tiverton. I can pull up the winning docket. Connect. They changed the password, right? I'm sorry.
Stafford. It's Stafford. Stafford.
Or as a guest.
Oh, for the.
Guest?
Guest, Stafford.
I think we can get very close because we know the assessor is always going to be within 5, 10, 15,000 of that number. And so by looking at online on the town webpage, we can look at the amount, the certified docket, and there should be a levy there that was approved, and we can use that number, and then we can try it again, 15,000 off, which is like 3 pennies usually.
I think in the URL it says FTR.
Online documents, home rule, charter. So this would be docket approved at, oh, I'm in the wrong year. Right here.
Would have been docket approved on
Alternate budget.
May 21st, 2016.
Okay, so I'm looking at, right now,
We had a remand, though.
I'm looking at the actual
Yep.
petition that went in. It's right off of, this is the actual petition. And this is what passed. And it has a ballot question. So let me do this. And we'll get to the bottom of this. So I'm in online documents. I'm coming down to petitioner's alternate budget. And the ballot question that was prepared last year, that carried the day, is right here. So it was 29,623, 19, blah. Then it had, and a levy of property tax not to exceed 38,206,773. So we know that was the maximum because the assessor couldn't have gone any higher. And he's often 5, 6, 7, 8, 10,000 off of that because of a penny. The value of a penny makes them round. So if we take this year's levy and use that number, and I think we're going to find that you have to move by a lot more than 10 or 15,000 to go 0.1.
But aren't we looking for that 0.9%?
That's on there.
I think, check the spreadsheet, I think that's the number I used for the prior year levy, 38,206,773.
Okay, spreadsheet.
Yeah. So that's the number I used, and now that I've found last year's number, and this number I have as from the certified levy is actually 0.9 above the prior year's number, which is what it should be. So I'm almost positive what I have right in front of me is the certified tax levy that should be in that spot, and that was 38,190,533.
That's correct.
Okay.
So you're, like you said, you're talking less than 20,000.
Okay, so somebody so you think you know what the certified levy is?
Yeah, I think it's.
Or take this, I can do it right here. I'm not have to, I just don't have the new numbers. Are these the new numbers right here?
38,190,533.
Yes.
So you'd put it to the right where the highlighted cell next to prior year levy?
Right here?
Yep.
I don't know where you're leading.
Just click on that and type 38,190,533.
Okay. 38,190,533.
Yeah, that would be off of the certified.
It looks like you changed it though to 0.5%.
Yeah, if it was right on the cusp.
Rounds up from 4 to 0.4 and 0.46.
Let me ask a question. The number that I just typed in and this number, how much are they different by?
They're,
16 grand,
16 grand is what I keep saying.
15 grand, somewhere
Wait,
around there.
Justin, can you change the sheet to have a .46 if it is a .46?
No. The charter specifies one digit.
Okay, thanks.
About 16 grand, excuse me.
Well, that's the variation. The assessor can't go over the number voted, and he cannot be at that number. It's got to quantize, and if you take the tax levy and divide it into pennies, a penny is usually about $5,000. So the tax rate might always adjust at the end by a penny or two. It's different than our number, and as that happens, it's just got to do with the quantization of doing the tax bills rounded off. You end up with maybe 10, 15,000, 6, 7,000, less than the voted number. So I'm fine with the 0.5. I mean, I don't know.
Oh, can I ask, why was it just said by
Correct,
one digit?
Yeah, it's written that way.
Jeff, why was it one digit put in there?
Yep.
You know?
Yep.
It was voted by charter.
Okay.
Okay, so 0.5?
Yep.
Okay. So, do we have a motion on the floor for that?
Now we need to get back to what Nancy had
Hit save, Nancy, thanks.
on the,
You saved it?
Hit save,
I
please.
did.
so I think, well, I think we have a motion, but I'll make it again to read that the Tiverton Financial Town Referendum, May 20, 2017, Budget Committee ballot submissions, proposal for appropriation and tax levies. The town shall appropriate a sum of $29,893,257 for school department general operating and capital expenses, and appropriate a sum of $19,492,323 for municipal and capital expenses, and levy a property tax not to exceed $38,366,653, which is an increase to the prior year's certified net tax levy of 0.5%, and include a motor vehicle tax levy not to exceed $1,647,900, and a real and tangible property tax levy not to exceed $36,718,753,
As recommended.
as recommended by the Budget Committee.
So moved.
Okay?
Who seconded?
He just
Okay,
seconded
okay.
it. I
You made the
moved
motion.
Oh, you
it,
moved it, I seconded it.
and he seconded it. Okay. So, there's not much room for discussion since we just did all that, so we have to agree. So all in
Sure
favor?
you don't want to change the library and school
All
number?
in favor? Opposed? Okay. So it
Allison,
passed.
you're opposed?
Are you saying opposed?
opposed.
Okay, I thought you did the first
Okay.
one.
So
Okay.
that concludes what we need to
So what was
do.
the vote, 7-4?
It ain't happening.
Yep,
Okay.
yep.
Now, do we want to take a vote? The next thing that has to happen is this needs to get like printed out and clocked in. And should we take a vote to, or a consensus that Nancy's gonna we're gonna put it on a thumb drive, and if we see, and if it doesn't print right, we're gonna add a page break or whatever we have to do, get it printed right and clock it in?
Yeah, we'll take care of
Are we all good with that?
Yeah,
Okay.
unless you all want to hang around and watch while we play with the computer.
Do whatever you want to do.
Yeah, so, I want to, before we adjourn, I want to do a couple things. First thing I want to do is thank Andrew Ray for his good work.
Thank you, Andrew.
Andrew has done a great job.
Thank you, Andrew.
He's dealt with us in an exemplary manner. I want to thank all the committee members for all of their work. I want to remind everybody that the financial town hearing will be May 4th. I don't know where yet. I think middle school, but I don't know. I'm presuming 7 o'clock. And then the actual vote will be May 20th. Traditionally, the chairman has presented the budget along with the vice chair. So we'll do that. And again, I want to thank everybody for the hard work, and I would seek a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Second?
All in favor? And we are done.
Thank you, Cecil.